things sort of getting a coffee van there. The students said, did anybody go there?
That's kind of got forgotten, and that encourages darkness in it. Whereas if we throw some light on it and open it up and encourage more people to go out and play and more families to be there, then
thank you.
Shine a light on it. Thank you so much.
No,
Thank
actually,
you,
sorry,
everybody.
hang on. Sorry, Connor, you had something you wanted to put in.
I just wanted to say on Friday I've actually got a meeting with Somerset Council and a number of other parish and town clerks to discuss the process for asset and service devolution. Somerset Council aren't interested in actually going through with any asset or service devolution until in about 12 to 18 months' time. They have a pilot project with Bridgewater at the moment, but they're working on the process for doing it efficiently. So that meeting on Friday will be to discuss the process. I know councillors have already discussed various bits and pieces that they would like to ask for from Somerset Council. So just to set expectations, I think the process will begin in about 12 to 18 months, and I don't know how long it's going to take. I hope it will be quicker than the Bridgewater pilot, but I would hope within, I don't know, 2 to 3 years we could take something like that on. But it's quite complicated. It is a long slog, but we're already starting the process. As I say, I've got that meeting on Friday.
That's amazing and encouraging, and we want to make it a priority. Glastonbury deserves a really good park.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you. Thank you. And do keep in touch as well. I'm up for helping set up a Friends of group with you if need be.
We'll do that straight away.
Genius. Thank you, Amanda. And thank you to your very patient boys. Right, thank you. Next we have Caroline Ritherden, coach parking. Thank you, Caroline.
Good evening, everyone. And thank you for your time. And I do understand that not everything that is asked of this council is within your remit. However, I wondered if any of you have noticed that this summer we have had an infestation of feral coach drivers in this town.
Right.
They park up and drop off outside St Dunstan's Park. So when the 376 comes along, traffic can't turn into the car park. That happens so often we don't even notice it anymore. They park outside St Mary's Church to let people off their coaches, even when there's a funeral due. Alongside, anywhere along here, in fact, they will park up, holding up the bus. The wonderful ones for a little while were that they were completely blocking the top of Benedict Street, allowing people to get on and get off, so traffic couldn't travel in or out Benedict Street. And then the one I heard about yesterday was actually on the corner where the road goes round into the high street. Yeah, that's a great place to drop people off, particularly old folks, because they take a little bit more time. And then the folks outside the Crown have got bets on how long it'll take before the traffic starts beeping horns. So we have that. And yes, it can be amusing, but they're also dropping off and picking up on the corner of Archers Way, on the top of the High Street, outside Natural Roots in Northload Street. These have all been seen. They've all been told, I've been told about more. And my personal favourite of the coaches not on the ring road or the job was the one that insisted that it was going to go up Manor House Road, despite the fact there were 5 of us coming down Manor House Road. So that took quite a while to sort out, because there was nowhere that we could back until you got right up. If it had gone back 5 feet, everyone could have come around it. But no, that was not a foreigner. It was a Scottish coach. So make of that what you will. But it was not somebody from Europe that doesn't know. Now, all of this is great fun till it gets dangerous. And when they are hurtling up Benedict Street, when you've got traffic parked there, you've got the roadworks, and you've got the scaffolding, and they are hurtling up. They're not just driving up, they are hurtling up to get out. Now, that happens 2 or 3 times a week. And if you're in the coffee shop down there, you know, things rattle.
Yep.
So I'm not happy with that at all. There's often people walking along either in the road or with dogs or small children. But the one I heard about yesterday, which I didn't actually see myself, apparently several weeks ago, one of the normal standoffs between the coaches going up the high street and the 376 coming down the high street. And again, bets on how long who's going to back off first. But when a pedestrian is hit by the wing mirror of a coach, you know, when are we going to get them back where they ought to be out of the town? Is my question.
Thank you very much.
And I leave it with you.
No, thank you very much for bringing that. And that is something, thank you,
Okay.
Caroline, that is something that only is going to get worse. I don't know if we do want to do any, I mean, the coaches, where they come, because they're now not St Dunstan's, they now are supposed to go over there.
The Ring Road and Sedgemoor into Faversham, stop at Property.
Yeah, exactly.
That is it. They do not need to be anywhere else in town as far as I can
No.
see.
Signage?
That would be good. Or we could get little parties of people standing on the corners.
Okay.
Thank you all very much.
No, thank you so much for bringing that to attention. Thank you, Caroline. Right, next we have Suzanne Clements, 30-mile-an-hour speed limits. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for your time. You know, between here and Wells, it's a really easy cycle ride. Should be. It's lovely, level, beautiful, but it's a nightmare because of the speed of the motor vehicles. And we know there's lots that can be done. So I was talking to a traffic data person, an officer at the county council the other day, and I said, can we just, for a start, have a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit through the Southway bends, you know, where there's no pavement, there's no spare space. There are loads of crashes between vehicles, let alone pedestrians and so forth. And a lot of people do have to walk that, whether they like it or not. A lot of people want to walk, but people who are going to sign on, for instance, and can't afford the bus fare, or I know it's cheap now, but or if you get a puncture on your bicycle, as Jeff here happened to him once and had to walk back, is really, really dangerous to walk along there. So a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit would be great. When I spoke to this traffic highways officer, he said, but we can't do that unless it's asked for by the parish, town, city councils. And so I thought what I'd do is I've drafted a letter or a motion that I could bring to all of you, and I will also bring it to St Cuthbert Out and also to Wells. And I think if all of you would support that, we could maybe get that really easy low-hanging fruit of the 30-mile-an-hour speed limit through those bends at least, and then we could go on to other measures, maybe extend the multi-user path.
Thank you. Gosh, that's a great plan. So we're just thinking, so I've just been told by our Somerset Council person that we're only up to Hart Lake Bridge. So it would, like you've just said, so we're just this side, yeah, which isn't very, so there'd have to be, as you said,
Okay.
Sorry, thank you. Exactly, yes.
I made to the highways officer is, he said, well, it have to be the people from Cokesley who want it. And I said, actually, Glastonbury people need to travel to Wells, Wells people to Glastonbury, and the Cokesley people who live there. There are people who live on those bends who have to walk to the bus stop and so forth. So yes, it affects us in a way more than the other councils and you know, Wells as well. But if we all call for it, then we might get somewhere.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much.
I'll forward this letter
Yes,
to you all.
that would be a great plan. Thank you very much for bringing that with a plan as well. Thank you so much, Susanna. Great. Anyone want to bring anything up about that? No, we'll just wait for the email. Thank you. Okay, so moving on. Last person we have, Leela. Is she here? Ah, you are here. Thank you. So this is Leela of Glastonbury and open letter to the Mayor. Thank you.
Hello, I'm here to bring an open letter to the Mayor of Glastonbury. A copy of this letter will be emailed to all councillors, and at present we have 79 signatures and we are continuing to collect more. So it's an ongoing thing, but we wanted to present it to you today. So an open letter to Glastonbury Town Council concerning the behaviour of Indra Don Francesco, Mayor of Glastonbury. Let it be known that the following letter is not a personal attack on Indra. We admire her for her various courageous actions that she has taken previous to her standing as Mayor of Glastonbury, including protection of ancient English woodlands and other actions on behalf of the environment. We, the undersigned, have been deeply saddened by public comments made by Miss Indra Don Francesca, Mayor of Glastonbury, and have found some of them to be incompatible with her position as Mayor. At times, her behaviour has been inappropriate and not in keeping with the Nolan principles, including integrity, objectivity, accountability, openness, honesty, and leadership. And these are the general standards for holders of public office. We wish to make Glastonbury councillors aware that a talk by Indra was filmed at the Green Gathering, which is available on YouTube. And a link to this is available in the appendix. In this video, she stated certain pejorative views about members of our community. She was openly ridiculing some of the elders of Glastonbury, apparently for having views that do not agree with her own political opinions. At times, she spoke mistruths about what had occurred at an earlier council meeting and either exaggerated or misrepresented actual events. One of the comments on the below the YouTube video with Indra's speech, I'll read to you. It is written, "Sad to see such a biased character attacking so many with her name calling. I'd love to see her sit and have a proper debate, but I doubt she ever will. I hope they get a proper mayor soon." Miss Don Francesco referred to the good folks of Glastonbury that attended the council meeting as a mob. These are not the words of a professional representative, no matter what her personal views may have been. These people came to the town council meeting because they care about serious issues. The mob, as she called them, were men and women of the town, including elders of the community. They were very well behaved and certainly did not deserve such disgraceful contempt. We, the people of Glastonbury, deserve better from our mayor. Her behaviour shows no skill as a diplomat, is lacking in professionalism and maturity. We feel that she has allowed her personal politics to cloud her judgment and has not acted as an impartial representative of the people. We respectfully ask Glastonbury Town Council to ensure that prejudice is never again tolerated from any of the local council officials. We, the undersigned of Glastonbury, require that Indra make a public apology with an honest reassurance that in future she will behave in a suitable manner befitting the fiduciary of the townsfolk of Glastonbury, or step down from the position of Mayor of Glastonbury. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Leela. May I just very quickly reply on something?
Yeah.
Thank you. So the mob that I've explained many times before in many platforms was only a reporting about the people who were downstairs who were reported to me as a mob. So there were about, I don't know how many people downstairs.
30 people downstairs.
Okay. Who were being unruly, who were trying to get up, we spent, I think, possibly 20 minutes, half an hour, basically trying to calm the people downstairs before we could start upstairs. So those are the only people, and I've explained this many times.
I can say that I have seen in another explanation of the mob as referring to the people at the Great Net Zero debate. And I have seen this comment by yourself,
Okay.
with respect.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to present you this letter. And as I said, we are still continuing to collect signatures and we can provide you with those at a later date.
Fabulous. Thank you very much, Leela, for coming.
And I'd like to ask when we can expect a response from our requirements.
We'll get back to you. Thank you very much, Leela. Right, we move on to the main body now of the meeting.
So I'll just detach the last one.
That's really fine. Oh, do you want to give it to the clerk, actually? Thank you very much. Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you very much. So I can see Liz Lasham in the front row. Would you please light our candle, our unity candle? Thank you so much. Then if we could all please stand in the room. Is it 1 or 2 minutes? For 1 minute as we contemplate, please, the work ahead of ourselves today. Thank you. Oh, fabulous. Thank you very much, everyone. Right, first on the agenda is to receive apologies of absences and notes given, please. Have we had anyone, Connor?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I've had apologies from Councillors Price and Napper, both unfortunately unwell, and I believe Somerset Councillor Hart is running a little bit late, but she's planning to join us.
Fabulous, that's great news. So, members of the council, do we have any declarations of interest? Yes, thank you, Councillor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would like to declare that I'm Chair of St Edmunds Ward Community Hall, and I'm also a member of the Town Deal Board, should they come up in tonight's meeting.
Thank you very much, Councillor Cousins. Yes, please, Councillor Manning.
That I'm a member of Glastonbury Town Deal.
Thank you very much. I suppose I better declare I'm a member of the Glastonbury Town Deal Board too. Thank you. Whoever, yeah.
I'm a
Up
trustee of
first.
St Edmunds Community Hall.
Thank you, Lochbandian.
And St Edmunds Community Hall.
Thank you.
Serena?
Me too, yeah.
And Serena, anyone else?
You can also put me in for Town Deal if you want, but I don't see it's necessary.
Perfect.
No financial reward, that's for sure. Just loads of time and effort and hard work.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Karina. Yes, Councillor White.
Thank you. I'm the Vice Chair of the Town Deal Board.
Perfect. Lovely. Okay, to approve and sign the correct record of minutes held at the meeting August 8th, please. Has everyone got...
Sorry, just mention,
yes,
Your Worship,
sorry.
that is meant to read the 12th of September.
Oh, well done.
That's the set of minutes that's been circulated, but I made a mistake on the agenda.
Do you know, I didn't, that's how tired I am. I did not notice. It's still summer. For a lot of us, it's still summer. Okay, so you've got the...
That's the copy to sign as well.
Thank you, my lovely. So page 33. '34.
I'm allowed to ask a question?
Yes, please.
So we recommended a permanent speed camera, and this was agreed and resolved, and I was wondering whether any action had been taken on the permanent speed camera in Coursing Batch.
I have emailed the local traffic engineer. I'm yet to get a reply, but normally she's quite good, so I would expect a reply pretty soon, I hope.
Thank you. 35. 36. 37. 38. 'Is it possible? Sorry, I'm really distracted. There's a phone that's just buzzing. I don't know if this is out there or on the table. Sorry, thank you. 38. That's it, 38. Fabulous. Any more comments, additions? And the date is 12th of September. No.
10th of October, Your Worship.
Is your signing date?
Thank you very much. Sorry. Sorry, thank you. Are we all happy with the, I will suffice, thank you very much. Yeah. And you're going to hate me because I've just done it in green pen.
That's fine.
Is that all right?
Well,
Great, thank you.
sorry, on the last page, there's a box further up. Could you sign it?
Further up.
Oh, no, sorry. Yeah,
Is that what I've done?
That's what I want. Thank you.
Did it right this time.
Thank you.
Okay, get in there. Right, thank you. Why have I lost? There it is. Right, moving on. So, item agenda 4, please, to receive updates and actions from the last meeting.
Thank you, Your Worship. I did invite the police to tonight's meeting. However, the police informed me they would not be coming to tonight's meeting. There is an inspector going to the Town Centre Crime Reduction Advisory Committee on Thursday.
Perfect.
I asked Melissa to circulate the report in respect of Town Hall retrofit, which I believe was done. A letter of support was written for the video production company. The litter picks have been advertised. The press release was sent out about the certificate for PC Popal. I rearranged to meet Councillor Smythe and Dr. Bloom, which we had that meeting. Staffing was rearranged. And there's an action here which I don't think really relates to the meeting that I can't decipher, but I ticked the box and signed it the 13th of the 9th, so I must have done that as well. I wrote down ask JB about visit, but I've got no idea what she meant, Your Worship.
We utterly trust you. And hopefully JB will visit. Thank you very much, Connor. So, right, so the neighbourhood beat team, we were sent the last crime statistics, weren't we? As part of our, we've already sent it.
Yes, Your Worship.
Exactly.
Not sure, did we get a beat team?
I thought I'd seen it, yeah. I saw lots of shiny graphs. They haven't much changed. The graphs are still quite steady. Do we have any? Are you going to do the magic box? Do the magic box? Okay.
Would you like me to project the crime statistics from the police website?
Would people like to have the crime statistics? Might be quite useful for the town. Please.
Please, yeah.
Lovely, lovely. It's always nice to see a graph.
This is what happens when you have carpet.
Oh. Right, thank you. So these are, I think that we asked for the monthly now, haven't we? These are the monthly crime statistics for just the Glastonbury area. Wonderful. So there was a, where are we? Went down, up in January. That was interesting. And
This is the most recent set of data, and it's from August.
thank you. It's interesting, it's kind of gone up again. Yes, of course. Yes, Councillor Cousins.
Well, Your Worship, I seem to have telepathically connected with the clerk, so I don't need to speak.
Oh.
Cousins wanted to see it over the last 3 years, which is a table on the left.
Great. Good, good.
Because if you look at the past 12 months, there's an upward curve.
Yeah.
If you look over the last 3 years, it's...
Whoa, go us. Okay, fabulous. Do we want to see the last 12 months as well, just so we can... Yeah.
doesn't really change much.
No, we are keeping an eye on, though, the top last 3 years. Sorry, would you mind going back to this month?
Yeah. Can I ask a question?
Please.
Where's domestic abuse on there?
I would assume that's under violence.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've asked several times, excuse me.
Yes, Councillor Cousins.
Thank you. I think the answer to the question, Councillor Cottle, is that those sorts of offences have been, for some unknown reason, all put into violence and sexual offences. We did have a meeting, you may recall, with the police, where we asked them to separate that out, because our great concern, of course, is that violent sexual offences are quite large, and so the police have provided us with those statistics. But I wonder whether we could make a request to the police sergeant if they could give us a separate breakdown on that rather large violence and sexual offences, so that we can see more clearly what that pertains to.
Thank you, Councillor Cousins. We did actually bring this up at one of our High Street Crime Committee meetings, and we were very lucky. The constable, police officer that was there actually had access to the stats and did a breakdown for us. And yeah, the sexual violence was actually a lot lower than obviously the violent offences. And then we did that terrible thing where we looked at other towns, and we actually found that our town is actually a lot less violent crimes and sexual violent crimes. And although we shouldn't pit ourselves against Chard or places of common size, it wasn't so bad. If we want it continuously, because it's just not how they come out, but we were, I think, relieved, because that just looked monstrous. Yes, thank you, Councillor Henderson.
That's good to know. I know we've asked for those splits before, and if the police can do that simply at a meeting,
yeah,
it would be lovely to just email it over.
Thank you, because that is actually quite alarming.
Yeah.
Just looking at
I
seeing
think that's really good information that we ought to have every month.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I'm at the crime Thursday. Yeah, it's coming on Thursday. So there's a few of us here, so we will bring it again and ask them to actually put it in their monthly stats. Thank you. Are there any more questions on? Do we want to go down, or is that the main body of it? Ooh. Okay.
Don't find that one shows very much.
Yeah. It's interesting to note how because that under investigation, I suppose, will stay that big. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the same reports. Unable to prosecute. I might ask about that one. But anyway, if there are any questions, we will bring them to the crime and High Street Committee on Thursday. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Councillor Henderson.
Just with staying with that crimes by outcomes, there isn't a section which actually gets to a conclusion, is there? Everything there is sort of like
Ending.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we could deal with a bit of the pie saying prosecutions or
Prosecutions,
or whatever. Yeah.
Successes.
So, yeah. So we could again on the meeting on Thursday, if you could ask why we haven't got that bit of information.
Outcomes. Okay. Thank you. Yes, Councillor Cousins.
Reply. I think would it be prudent for us to look at last 12 months, because this, of course, are crimes committed in the latest month.
Good point.
Ooh,
Investigation complete.
they've changed the colours.
That makes sense. Well done, John. That's good.
Thank you very much. Can you just, sorry. Yes.
Have we got a duplication there, or am I being stupid? Further action is not in the public interest, bottom left. And then higher up, formal action is not. What's the distinction there? Not in the public interest.
Yeah, there's two there. Well, you've got further action. Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Maybe they give a warning or something. Or something like that.
Yeah,
Another question
formal.
for Thursday night.
Were you about to answer the question, or was that another one? No.
I think we may have all have worked out what's happening there, but obviously there are actions that are a result of an arrest or whatever, which would be a formal action, and then they might decide that no further action comes from the formal action that's already happened, and they might decide then there's no need for formal action too.
Thank you, Councillor Cousins. You are wasted on the council. Further.
One quick one.
Yes, thank you.
That 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 down, unable to prosecute suspect, 25% of the cases. So that could do with coming to your committee as well, your crime and high street reduction. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, that is quite a large. Yes, Councillor Oakton. Yes, of course. Sorry. Margaret, would you like to maybe use one of these, Miss Sweet? Thank you. Yes, please say that. Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Yes, good. I was just looking at the statistics and seeing that shoplifting is following the national average, and it's now increasing as in the crime figures that we've just seen. And I know that Aldi in particular has lost around about £600 worth of food over the past few weeks. It's something that we're all going to have to be aware of, given the state of the country at the moment. But yes, it is worrying to see that happen and to increase in the manner that it has increased.
Yes, thank you, Margaret. It's, yeah, more people needing food. I mean, stealing crystals is possibly one other thing, but stealing food is something else.
Can I just
yes, please, Councillor.
Margaret mentioned Aldi just reminded me of somebody came and saw me the other day, and the manager of Aldi went to school with a repeating shoplifter, so he knows this chap pretty well. The guy walks in and takes pretty much what he wants and walks out again. The manager of Aldi has given the police his name and address and a description, and the guy still keeps coming in and doing it. So you might want to bring that up on Thursday night.
Yep. Yes, please.
I have heard, and I can't substantiate it, that the shoplifter that is in question was actually apprehended. Beg your pardon. I have heard that the shoplifter that was the gentleman that you're talking about was apprehended. He was taken by the manager stealing meat, I believe. The manager apprehended him, got him in a headlock, and he was bitten for his pains, and the man ran off. The police appeared They found him, he was hiding in a ditch, and he's in custody as we speak. So that may be the same man, but at least they've managed to stop it.
Thank you, Margaret.
Thank you very much. Thank you. On that note, do we have any more questions or shall we move on? Thank you. We'll take these back to the committee. But yeah, always interesting. Thank you very much. So moving on. Oh, lovely. We are now to receive a presentation from Julian House regarding a local project. Thank you. Do we have? Haha, hello. Probably. Oh, yeah, no, great. I will just turn around.
You can tell, you can do, I'll be, you can be
just move
Chris
over
Whitty
there,
and I'll be.
Yeah, I'll move, that's fine.
You might want to go and stand at the end of the table where the microphone
I
is.
certainly can. To find out. So as you roll through,
Yes.
Yep.
Just quick welcome to Susanna,
the very end.
Somerset County.
I need to scroll through the bits before it.
That's fine.
I just need to speak a little bit about that video before we
That's
let it
fine.
roll.
Yeah.
This.
Because it's my work one, it will.
Have you
That's
been
fine.
to these? You have, okay.
I'll keep my eye
Right.
on it.
Well, I don't know how much time we've got.
So you might want to go up to the end of the, that's all right.
Before I start, I do have a slightly wider bit of information relevant to the project that I'm going to present. Just for some follow-up reading.
Shall I take it while you carry on?
I'm going to do it at the end.
Yes, if you can talk in the microphone, that'd be fabulous. Right, there we go, peoples. If you'd like to take one and... Oh, brilliant. Are we okay with the lights? Is that okay? Great.
Hi, good evening, and thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to present this project to you all. My name is Joanne Lum, and I am the Development Manager for Housing at Julian House. Julian House is a Bath-based homelessness charity, and we cover all of the off-the-streets homelessness services for Somerset. I'm here to ask for a letter of support from the Town Council for this project, and as I go through, I will ask for any questions to be left to the end. But just before I get going, I'd like to introduce you to Kylie Callow, who is the Rough Sleeping Initiative Coordinator for Somerset Council. Hello, I'm Kylie Callow. I've worked for the council supporting rough sleepers and the services that support them. Over the last few months that I've been working in the council, even just in that sort of short span of time, we're seeing the numbers of rough sleepers in and around Mendip, and around Glastonbury as well, go up quite rapidly. We've gone from sort of averages, you know, under 20 to nearing 30 in quite a short space of time. And again, I think, following on from what you were talking about just a moment ago, I think this is a reflection of the cost of living crisis that we're seeing right now. The numbers are up near 30 at the moment. We've got about 7 pending verification, so that number could go up again. What's interesting, being relatively new to this role, is looking at the people that I'm meeting, and we've got ex-teachers, we've got ex-business owners, we've got people that have had successful lives and successful families, jobs, very ordinary people in a lot of the cases where things have just gone wrong, and they've gone wrong really quickly. You know, statistics show that for a lot of people, you're 2.5 paychecks away from being there. And this is definitely something that I've seen reflected. You know, all sorts of things are leading people to be in that situation: bereavement, trauma, relationship breakdown, and yes, in some cases, that's led to either alcohol or substance misuse. But quite often that's not the reason that people are there. Sometimes that's just a coping mechanism. So what are the council doing? We are supporting all of these people through our outreach teams. They are out between 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning, going round, verifying people, offering them basics of food, conversation, water, signposting to all the local services. But a lot of these people will have barriers, you know, they'll be afraid to trust people, they'll be afraid to access help. And so a lot of it's relationship building, building their confidence, overcoming barriers. We've got some off the street accommodation that's doing fantastic work, offering people counselling, support to come off of addictions or substance misuse that they might have, directing them to services, helping them to understand systems that are really complicated, that ensures they get all the support that they're entitled to. And this is really successful in a lot of cases, and people can piece their lives back together with that support and start working their way back to rejoining society in a meaningful and useful way. And there's sort of, at the moment, we've sort of identified a gap between where the support systems are and independent living. And this is where the project with Julian House is coming in. With the cost of living crisis comes the housing crisis. And what we've been finding is that we get to the point where these people, the people that we've been supporting, are ready for independence, but there's not anywhere for them to move on to. And they still might need that holding hand, that last little bit of support before they feel fully confident to be independent. And that just wasn't there. And because of that blocker, we're finding that we can't get people in at the other end. So we're seeing the people that are sitting out on the street that are waiting to come into the off the street accommodation, and there's no room because the people that are ready to move on haven't got anywhere to move on to. And so as a way of easing up that and creating a bit of flow and hoping to support the people, support Glastonbury Town, support Mendip in getting that flow and helping these people off the street, is where the project with Julian House comes in. And I'll let Jo tell you a little bit more about that now.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hi, so as we move through the slides, the first couple of slides there gives you a little bit of a image perspective of the artist's impression of the small homes that I'm going to talk to you about. Connor, if you can just move on to slide 3, please. There we go. These are CGI's artist impressions of this project. We do understand through the consultation that we've been engaging in already that this probably isn't going to be the final layout. This would be our preferred design for privacy and just standard of living. But we understand through the consultation, as I will move on, there are some issues with taking up, this does take up quite a large amount of space. Slide 4 shows you a little bit about the inside layouts of these small homes designed for temporary living. So we move on to the main presentation. So what is the St Edmunds project? The St Edmunds project is 4 small homes, off-site manufactured, modular units to be placed on the land in front of St Edmunds Hall. About half of the car park would be utilised for these small homes. Next slide, please. The purpose of the St Edmunds project, as you can see from this cycle, is to intervene in this cycle of homelessness, going through from where somebody finds himself with those breakdowns to street homelessness. We have, as Kylie has already said, the off the street acute support service that is already out there and it is already full. It has only been operational since July. Due to the housing crisis and the open market rent prices, we have a crisis. We cannot move people out of that acute support, that whilst they still need our support, they don't need to be in the acute service. The acute service is for people coming off the streets. These small homes slot in there to move individuals onto in between the acute service and permanent accommodation. And that permanent accommodation would come from long-term open market rental or housing association properties. Moving on again, so I'm using the term move on. So move on accommodation sometimes is referred to as a step down service. Step down is referring to the level of support. It is to support a staged return to independence, which is the priority for this service. It is about providing accommodation that is manageable but not overwhelming, and it is only designed to be utilised for 6 months to 2 years. So each individual within 6 months to 2 years will be moving on into those permanent accommodations. So coming on to eligibility, so a lot of the questions we are asked is who is going to live in these homes? Big myth here, this might be an off the street service, but these homes will not be occupied by people coming rough sleeping off the streets. These are for individuals that are already present in our support services. We will have already done a full assessment and they will already be deemed with background and other information to be suitable to live in this location. We will be looking particularly at local connection, sobriety, substance dependencies, a willingness to return to work, education or volunteering. And all of this criteria will be built into a management plan submitted with the planning application. So why Glastonbury? So this is partnership land. So this is land owned by Somerset Council, identified as potentially available to us for this service. It was one of 2 pockets of land across East Somerset. The other pocket of land is very much more challenging. So whilst it's easy to say, there's some land over there, there's some land over there, why can't it be here, why can't it be there? We have to utilise the land that is available to us from our partners. Julian House are not in a position to go out and buy land for this type of service. We have to work with the local authorities and councils. This particular site was identified as underused, and I know through our consultation process that we do need to do some further investigation on that. And that investigation will be around what parking needs to be left on site, how we manage it, and how we can adjust these small homes, which are only 7 metres by 3.5 metres each, how we can position them on sites that we do leave adequate parking for the community. So we are moving on. So some information about these homes, because they do look a bit radical. They are modern methods of construction using off-site manufactured suppliers. They're a volume, ideally, we would like a volumetric design, which means they are built and delivered ready to go on site on the back of a lorry. The whole process is quite radical. There is a 45% saving on your carbon emissions, and that carbon emissions comes through the embodied and operational costs of these units. So by embodied, I mean the construction of them and in the groundwork that is required, and then the embodied, the operational is about the cost of living in them. Okay. They are built to passive house standard. A passive house standard, if you're wondering, is the world leading standard for energy efficiency. They are very modern, very efficient. They will be BOPAS accredited for 60 years. BOPAS is the Build Off-Site Property Assurance Scheme. So they are ready to be in situ for at least 60 years. So if each of our occupants resides in them for a year, that is a lot of people from this area that we can support back to independent living. They have benefits of less time constraints in terms of these are 10 weeks in construction and they are 3 weeks worth of site work. So we don't have intensive groundwork. They're temporary units plugged into permanent services. So they are 30 weeks from start to finish. 10 weeks of that is done off-site. As I've probably touched on that before, that these units are small homes. They're maximum 24 square metres. They are small enough to feel safe and manageable. They are large enough not to promote independence, but not to promote dual living. So these are independent units for individuals. So moving on to some important information that you might have about these homes. Sorry, this is a bit of a whistle-stop tour.
No, thank you.
So we will have a management plan submitted within the planning application. The first planning application is going in by the end of October. This timeline is only accelerated because of the funding of this project. This funding is match funded by Homes England. And in order to do that, we have to have a planning application ready to submit with our bid. Homes England have not released any additional funding beyond SHAP ending on the 10th of November. SHAP is the Single Homeless Accommodation Programme. It's the biggest single funding for homelessness accommodation for single people. Okay, so unless we meet that 10th of November deadline, we are facing a huge battle to try and get the funding, match funding for this project. The eligibility criteria will have to be maintained when somebody is living on site. So we talked about sobriety and substance misuse and a willingness to work, volunteer or return to education. Those criteria will be ongoing and managed accordingly. People within our service, it's never a linear straight line. It sometimes will go back as well as forward. And Julian House are prepared for that, and we are able to manage and deliver that level of support. Site security, so we know that obviously it's a community. I would like to say that a lot of the questions are, these are criminals, these are drug addicts, these are alcoholics. Not everybody that finds themselves homeless is a drug addict, a convict, or has a substance misuse issue, but we do see them, obviously, and you know, and so part of the security will be around making sure that these people are supported every day. We have a 24-hour outreach team who are based locally, 20 minutes away, and we will have the final plans will show some fencing, so we are obviously working with the users of the hall to make sure that everybody feels safe, and the users and the occupiers of the home feel safe with the landscaping that we can offer them. That will include CCTV so that we can monitor. You know, people were saying, is this going to encourage people to come up to St Edmunds from the town? No, it shouldn't. These people are from other areas, you know, other parts of East Somerset. But part of our process is monitoring that we don't encourage or any antisocial behaviour in the area, and we do heavily monitor that. So I am going to end with a little video clip which I've got permission to show you from New Meaning Foundation, which is one of the modular home suppliers that we will go out to tender to. This is Eamon, who is on a site in Cambridge managed by Jimmy's. There is a slight difference in Eamon's story. So Jimmy's do take people directly off the streets into their modular homes project. This is 6 homes that are sited in the car park of a church. There was a lot of opposition to these homes, but this site has been really successful. And Eamon's story, I hope, will inspire you to...
Eamon Kelly is 52 and originally from Belfast in Northern Ireland. He's had several troubled years of drug addiction and sleeping rough.
Having my own front door, my own shower, my own wardrobes, my own TV. One time I couldn't even think about it as a reality when it was on the streets. Just getting into McDonald's and washing and having a coffee and while having changing in people's houses.
My name is Matt Wise, I'm a housing support worker for Jimmy's and also for the modular homes. When you get into the hospital cycle, it's a situation that can continue for many, many years. The biggest breakdown in the hospital situation, you're moving into an environment where you're battling your own substance misuse issues whilst also having other people around. So the temptation, the triggers are all there. These new modular homes give people their own front door, an opportunity to be able to close that front door and sit in their own modular home and work their way out without other people getting intrusive in the whole situation.
Have you been able to re-establish things with friends and family? Yes, oh yes, I have talked to my sister in 18 years. Now, state board member fell out. Since we got involved with the church and we're down, he's my God, really. He's there for me and my phone down at 6 in the morning. He's here in 2 seconds.
Eamon, what's the 2 years been like for you? What's changed for you to be here?
It's just been a roller coaster. Got myself clean and tidy, off jokes. Got myself and my missus down to the help at Jimmy's. Without them, I could have done it. Like a month you could go to work, be living. Really? This? We promised to buy dead clean, off jokes. I would get them. And it came right from me. They didn't let me down.
Eamon Kelly is 52 and originally...
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. That's it. Thank you. Would anyone like to speak? I think Councillor Liz Lasham, did you have points you wanted to bring up, and also other councillors? I think what we're being asked for is for a letter of support. Yes, but are we being so sorry? Are we actually being asked to decide?
That's what is being asked, yes.
That's what's being asked. That was at the beginning of the presentation. Yes, Councillor Lasham.
Your Worship and councillors, I wasn't aware of this in advance because I am no longer a councillor for Glastonbury. I'm a councillor for Street. I don't think we need 4 units in this part of Somerset. I think we probably need 40 units at least. Whilst we had Mendip District Council, we tried really hard to find land that would be suitable for this kind of modular housing. I was really hopeful at one time that the town deal might have been able to incorporate a unit that would actually build those modular homes on site in Glastonbury to put them on land here. I do understand that there isn't money to buy land, and so I think some of the land in Glastonbury that could come forward is probably land that would be looking for remuneration and so might not be available. I know that we still have a planning application in the system for Norbins Road car park that has been held up by the nutrient neutrality situation. I also must be honest and explain that I worked on the Accelerator Fund project at St Edmunds Hall. I also worked with officers at what was then Mendip about ensuring that the car park was cleared, and I give huge credit to the officers who worked with those people who were living there in caravans to get them properly housed so that we could get the car park clear. So I think there is a need for balance between the users of the hall and ensuring that the hall still remains viable, because we worked really hard to ensure that. And I think we need to work really hard to find places, land that doesn't need to be paid for, so that we can work with charities like Julian House. I know I know people who are part of Citizens UK, Citizens Somerset, who've been trying to work on a similar project for Taunton area. And as I'm seeing them again on Thursday, so I'll get an update then, but so far nothing has moved. I know that one of the housing associations has a planning application in for modular units in a part of a car park in Frome, North Parade. That's not yet come forward to planning committee. So all I can say, councillors, is that I do know a huge amount of work has been going on. I do know how the homelessness crisis is escalating. There is somebody now has been sleeping in the library gardens in street for weeks now. Kylie and her colleagues have been helping him. I was hoping he'd been in the armed forces at some stage, because there's a lot more charitable support for people from the armed forces. Sadly not. We've not been able to help him yet. I hear people talking about whether they can find someone with a shed that they can live in their garden. We still see lots and lots of people living in caravans on the roads around Glastonbury. Every one of those people would be homeless if they weren't in that caravan.
Yeah.
I do also understand the issues for residents, not just in Glastonbury, but in the villages around, who would like us as a council to be able to do more. We also have in progress land disposal of what's known as the Moorland site. So part for parking for the Burt project as part of the town deal, and the larger portion for Landings Community Trust. There's a self-managed site. We're also still working on the planning application for a part transit and part permanent traveller site in Porchester Drove, which has various ecological issues with the planning application. I've been a councillor since 2017. In 2019, we set up the Glastonbury Living Spaces panel at Mendip District Council, as was, and it feels sometimes as if we're making very, very little progress. So some residents in Glastonbury are a little bit happier in some parts of the town. So people who live around the back of the Tor, people who live on Redlands Estate are not contacting me 24/7 any longer, but I know that Kenardmore Drove, Cinnamon Lane and parts of Beckery, I know that we still have considerable issues. So I can't give any more answers except to say that as a council, We will continue to work this way. We won't give up, because the minute you give up, you give in, and we're not looking to give in. But as you'll see, and as you will debate this evening, finding suitable land is not as easy as it sounds. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Liz. Thank you so much. Yes, never surrender. Is there, who else would like to talk on this, please? And I know that there was consultation done. I know there was one up at St Edmunds and possibly down. I couldn't get to them, but I know some councillors here too. Would anybody else like to speak on this? Because I think they are actually asking for, yes, thank you, Councillor Henderson, then Councillor Hart, and then Councillor McDougall.
I think this is a very laudable project, much needed. Sounds like it's coming from a good place with the council and Julian House. I was slightly concerned about the using of the car park with the people that already live at Windmill Hill, but it sounds like that has been addressed as well. So with the information we've been given so far, I can't see any reason why any of us would be against a project like this. So if anybody has got anything to say against it, I'd be quite interested to hear about it.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hendon. Yes, Councillor Hart.
I've just got a couple of questions. I don't know if you guys can answer. Shall I just I was wondering how much each of these units cost when manufactured.
It's the whole committee.
And you mentioned, I think, that the lifespan.
We had a meeting. I think it's fair to say the trustees are against it.
In that material, there'll be some kind of refurb. So I was just wanting a bit of information about that, really, like cost and timing, and whether there could be short damages, and you mentioned that. Okay, so I would get okay, right.
So which was the first
Do you know what the cost per unit is?
The cost per unit cited is about 100,000. That includes all of the groundwork, all of the consultation costs so far and ongoing.
And I think you said that they were funded partially by Julian House, partially by Somerset Council. And did you say that you also need further match funding?
The council are contributing financially to the units, so we have got what they are providing to the land for 6 years as part of the requirement for funding application. The funding application will be for match funding, so Julian House will provide half of the cost of the unit and Homes England will provide the other half.
So that you've already got undertaken for that.
From Julian House, yes, we've set aside money for that.
You said that Homes England.
I'm really sorry. Can we just question and answer, not really conversation? Thank you. Sorry.
Just asking for clarification.
But this isn't something that we need to know.
Funding application from Julian House to Homes England. We have to bid for it.
So Homes England are paying 50%.
Yeah.
And you guys pay it. So all the funding is up.
That's subject to a successful first? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then I asked about refurb funding and how that's managed and insurance funding.
Yes, so insurance is through Julian House. We insure all of our properties, and refurb is part of our contract.
So the money's all there. There is up on it. If it, okay. And then out of interest, I asked where they were manufactured.
So we haven't put a tender out for
colour?
supply yet. So we have various suppliers, they're all manufactured in the UK, but some are based in the south, some are based in the east, based.
And so the other thing, two questions. One is, can you guarantee that, sorry, somebody else can say something? Can you guarantee,
They're not. Somebody's just chatting here. Carry on, Suzanne, Councillor.
Is there a guarantee there will be?
All of our rough sleepers that come into our service have a look.
Okay. And these are rough sleepers as opposed to people who are currently living
earlier, it is the last step for independence, that last bit where they still need a helping hand. And so these are people with a local connection.
I think those questions have been answered. Sorry, Councillor Hart, those questions have, yes, I know, but they have answered that question. They have answered that question. It's just we do really need to get on. There are other people that do need to talk. So please. So it was Lindsay, yes, it was Lindsay, there you, okay. Thank you very much, Councillor Hart. Councillor Lindsay.
There would be staffing, not for this unit, for those in that unit. Additional staffing. That's very helpful and really useful for us to be able to pass on the rest.
Thank you very much. So Councillor McDougall, and then we've got Councillor White. And then Councillor Osborne.
I appreciate this attempt to get some social housing. Well, it's all covering social housing. Having been on Mendip Planning Board, I'm very well aware of the problems. I'm not sure if there's a playgroup that operates in St Edmunds Hall. Does anybody know here? I've just thought of that particular question.
No,
there isn't. No. So there is a youth group. Yeah. So no playgroup at the moment. No, there was at one point. Question about what happens when they move on, because I mean, really, there's a very limited opportunity for social housing for them to move on to. I mean, how realistic is it to get them to move on? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I'd like to be reassured that it's not going to affect the use of the hall. Like noise from the hall might disrupt the residents who might be particularly sensitive to that sort of thing. I would like to take this opportunity. It's not a popular thing to say in a tourist town, but we have an awful lot of tourist accommodation, short-term accommodation. Is there any way that we can have a balance between the locals' needs and the tourist needs? I know there are things that we can do. I'm just going to say that here because it seems obvious. Yeah. Yes. Well, I think there are things you can do. It's just whether there is the will from local people, the political will to do it, and perhaps give local people first option for any houses that are built, and that is not always done. Is another thing that I'm taking the opportunity to say this. But otherwise, I welcome any opportunity to solve the housing problem.
Thank you very much. Councillor White.
Oh, thank you. So I've worked in both night shelters, rehab, recovery, about to be released into independent living. So I understand all of that. The night shelter is actually sort of frontline mental health, drugs, alcohol, substance abuse. So one of I like these, the modular home idea. And as you probably know, Glastonbury has a very deprived ward. So I'm one of the councillors with my colleagues here at St Benedict. And then St Edmunds, Windmill Hill is the next most deprived. When we talk to our people in town, they would all love a piece of land and a tiny home to live in. And so rather than just having 4 or 40, 5,000 might be quite nice. And so anybody can have a sort of independent home that they would like. We know there's no land. But all of this is a sort of serious issue And we need, so we have these sort of slums. I live in one at the moment. It's a Victorian house, it's damp, mouldy, quite horrible, and that's it. But there isn't stuff around. So it's very, very hard. And so the issue, so like in here, like I'm reading your section 4 of the brief, why here, and about integrating into these communities. Parts of them are thriving, parts of them are very deprived, you know, and so there are issues. And I also note it says, oh, it's a short walk into town on the way down, but not quite so short on the way back up. But yeah, modular homes, I've looked at all of those places, like the manufacturers, Burnham-on-Sea, Highbridge, there's like 3 big caravan pavilion type homes developing there, and they're extraordinary. You know, and so for people to be able to have a self-contained home with a cooker, with a washing machine, a little veranda, I think would be wonderful. But yeah, in principle, I'm happy with it, but we would like much more.
Thank you, Councillor White. If we can, just for save time, just any clarifying questions to their team. So we've got Councillor Osborne, Councillor Cook, and, oh no, sorry, Councillor Osborne, Councillor Manning, and then Councillor Cook. And I think then, oh, sorry. Councillor, oh gosh, okay, fine. If we can keep this as short as possible, that'd be wonderful. Thank you.
All 4 councillors for St Edmunds Ward are trustees of this hall, and so consequently I'm a little surprised that, you know, you're not questioning more about the effect it's going to have on the community. I actually have no problem with the idea of these 4 little things, but I can see that the parking, let's face it, is a huge issue in Glastonbury. You are taking away half the parking from outside of that hall, and that hall is used quite a lot. I'm glad to see some attempt to address the issue. It does worry me slightly, and I've worked with Move On before, that the people who are in Move On have no reason to commit to the wider community, and therefore they are not necessarily so supported and with a longer term need to build routes. Slightly bothers me. I do think, though, that what we should be looking at as a council is raising the whole issue of Airbnbs and second homes in this town.
Absolutely.
And rather than worrying about little huts in car parks, we should actually be addressing the real issues. Nearly all the town centre properties, if you put them on the market, they will be an Airbnb within a month.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councillor. Can I just say again, if we can keep this to the subject in hand. Councillor Cook.
Yeah, as you know, I saw you. But, yes, we met. We had a lovely chat. No, it's really good. I mean, it's a terrific concept, and I like the whole idea. I did get to know, well, I know a guy who's doing the tiny homes, trying to do that, but not getting very far with it. So this is great, but in respect of the actual size, 7 metres by 3 metres, you seem to be excluding the outside areas. Altogether, that's front and back. What about access to the back? Yeah, I know, but I'm talking about the whole footprint of a unit. You know, it's getting more up to the nearly 30. You know, so I am a bit worried about that. But also, there's another thing that you know, I really appreciate. You know what you're doing. But trying to describe the people that you'll be taking there, it's almost impossible. But the thing is, of course, is the only access to a shop is Londis. It's next door. That's it. Otherwise, you've got to go all the way downtown. And that's a long way. Now, are they going to be able to afford a taxi, get on the bus whenever it's available, or what? I mean, you know, you're at the top of the hill, and you might not consider it, but it's tricky getting up and down. You know, especially for people who have got disadvantages in one way or another. You don't know what that's going to be, but then you won't place them there, I guess. You know,
if they haven't, yes.
With only 4 units, you are going to be very stretched. aren't you? And Liz Layson, would like to ask you a question. You brought it up about Porchester Drive.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Councillor Cook. Can we stick, please, to what we have in hand today? Porchester Drove is absolutely...
This was brought up.
No, it was brought up as something else, but that's not what we are talking about today. Please, can we stick to...
Talking about tiny homes. Tank. Can I ask you, I mean, it's a 20-acre field, Porchester Drive.
What is...
And you're putting a planning application in. Why can't you include 10 to 15 to 20 of these units? Or is that not being...
Okay, Councillor Cook, can I please ask you, we would love to do this, and I would love to have this conversation more actually outside of this and in a further group. Please, if we can keep it to this, I'd be very happy. Thank you very much, Councillor Manning. Oh, sorry, did you want to? Wonderful.
Porchester Drive.
Thank you.
Proposal.
Thank you. We would be very excited about that. Thank you very much. Councillor Manning, please.
Thank you. I agree that this is a fantastic proposal. I really like the look of these places. They look lovely places to live. Love the fact that they're passive house standards. I wish all new build was passive house standard. But there's one thing that confused me is that you said that you're only using 50% of the car park. But that 50% that's left, most of that is actually the access into the car parks. There's only going to be 2 parking spaces left out of about a dozen or whatever the figure is as it is at the moment.
So since drawing up the plans that you can see in your paperwork there, we do understand that this preferred option of the sort of handprint, fingerprint design takes up the most space out of the designs that we looked at. So there are alternatives. The initial application is an outline planning consent, so we will establish the boundary of the area that we will use. We've also shown an idealistic view of the landscaping around these units. There is quite a lot of landscaping that can be pulled back to create additional parking spaces. I've spoken to our architect, and he's really quite confident that we can take the landscaping back to create quite a large number of parking spaces.
Thank you. Is that...
Yeah, and we do, one of the other options is that these units are stackable, so you could place one on top of the other.
Oh my gosh.
When we first looked at this site, we felt that that was too imposing, and 4 laid out single story like this was far more pleasant, but appeasing to look at for the community. You know, obviously stacking the units would, I don't think, be my preferred choice, but it would leave you a maximum, you know, the maximum amount of space available. But I'm not sure it would be quite so nice to look at.
Thank you. We have Councillor Roni McDougall.
Thank you. So yes, I'm one of the ward councillors. So I was quite shocked to hear about this without us having been consulted beforehand. My concern is with regard to the users of the hall. We have 4 U3A meetings each week. We also have youth club meetings. We have yoga and so on. So it's a very well-used hall. It's used every evening and it's used a lot during the day, as well as repair cafes and stuff. There is a real need for parking. There is a real need for disabled people to be able to park close to the hall. And there's a real concern that these units will impose on people who are walking through, so that elderly people who feel vulnerable will be scared to go to the hall, because there is a lot of fear in many local people with regard to homeless people and people with mental problems. Or
I've tried to address that in the presentation this evening for the eligibility.
As one of the trustees of the hall, I really want homeless people to have houses. I really want there to be a traveller site for people with their own living vans. I really want tiny homes. I just am concerned that this is not the appropriate place, A, because of the need for parking, and B, for vulnerable people who are using a very well-used hall.
I understand. Thank you very much. And we did try, with the time frame that we had, to get in touch with all of the stakeholders at the same time. It was just an accelerated process because of the funding constraints. We were not thinking about having to get a planning application in quite so soon, so the consultation would have been a longer process. With regards to the parking, our priority is for those who need level access parking. And we will manage the rest of the site to create as many spaces as we can. Touching base on the users of these small homes though, our eligibility criteria will be quite strict. We're not looking to put people, I'm not quite sure where the scaremongering comes in. The occupiers of these homes shouldn't pose a risk to the hall users. We're already talking with the YMCA about the youth club. The occupiers of these homes, we're actively going to be encouraging them back to work, education and volunteering. Part of those volunteering pathways could be with the YMCA within the youth club. So we are looking at all of the criteria and making sure that the people that live here should not pose any greater risk to the community than anybody living in the local area.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Councillor Smythe and then Councillor Cousins.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think this is an excellent idea. It's a really good idea in principle, but sadly, for all those reasons stated by my colleague, it's the wrong place completely. And this opinion, as the previous opinion, also does not need a response, because this is an opinion not only of us as councillors who know the area, who know the electorate, and know the circumstances. There are many other car parks and spaces owned by Somerset County Council throughout the county that are far more appropriate than the small car park up on St Edmunds Hill with a very busy social club community hall. I would ask you to seek further alternative sites, possibly close to Glastonbury. Some of the towns close to Glastonbury have bigger car parks than this one, where more than 4 of these units could be accommodated. That is not only my opinion, but it's the opinion of many of the electorate that I represent. Thank you. There's no need for a response to this.
Thank you, Councillor Smythe. Councillor Cousins. Oh, sorry. Sorry, did you want to respond to that?
I think it would be helpful just to say that the council, part of the reason for Julian House not being ready to consult until kind of really late on was because it took so very long to find any viable land that was available. So whilst, and I understand why, we all speculate about various car parks or yards that we see unused, they're not available. There will be legal reasons or other reasons why, or as part of the planning policy where land is secured for other reasons, it's just not been available to us. So this was the most viable of the only 2 that we came up with. And I appreciate what you're saying, but just to be clear, it's where we got to.
It's our only option. Of course, no, thank you very much. You have made that really,
and
really
the
clear.
other thing just to note is we're running out of time. There is only until literally the end of October to submit an outline planning app, and then subsequent, well, around the same time to submit the bid to Homes England. Now, that doesn't mean to say if a viable piece of land that was absolutely amazing and much better became available very quickly that we couldn't look at it, but bearing in mind there is no additional money for this.
Understood. Thank you very much. If we can just carry on around the table. I think we've got Councillor Cousins and then did anybody else? Yes, Councillor Coughlin. Oh, and yourself. Okay, 3 more speakers.
Thank you. I'm afraid you've got the 3 remaining trustees of the hall to talk to you now. I wish to start by saying that the concept of this, the modular housing and what Julian House does, absolutely needed in this town. And I would echo Councillor Lyshon, we don't need 4, we need 40 or more. I'm not sure Councillor White was being totally serious when he mentioned the thousands, but there is certainly from our own, as a council, from our own housing needs assessment, a real need for these sorts of homes. In some ways, I wish that planning authority had the teeth
for want of a better word, to read our planning housing needs assessment and only allow those houses that are required in Glastonbury to be built, rather than homes that will be for people who are coming in from outside and not addressing the real need in the town. So it's absolutely a dilemma for me to see these proposed in the car park of the hall, that as the ward councillors are the trustees of a hall that was built by the community, paid for by the community, and has recently been, as Councillor Lyshan said, renovated, and I was part of the group that helped renovate the hall to make it more attractive to folk. And it is used, as Councillor Ronnie Dougal said, it's used by lots of groups who need parking. I'm heartened to hear that you've taken on board the need for parking for the hall, because it is quite an issue for some of the people who use it to have to walk there. You can understand that. I wonder whether perhaps there, as you're looking for county council land, I understand, whether the county council has inherited any other piece of land, say a disused garden, that might be right next door to the car park in question. Disused garden that may be able to house 2 homes, and then you'd only have to put 2 homes on the car park. They could face each other if such a piece of land existed. I don't know.
Thank you, Councillor Cousins. If we may I
suggest that that is looked into, and I don't know whether Councillor Cottle will be able to help us with that garden maybe that is owned by the council. So we might be able to look at that. I think that this council needs to look at its own estate, review its own estate in property and assets, as to whether there is land that we own that would be suitable for this sort of development too. And I think that that's something to property and assets.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. I mean, we don't actually have that much time, so I think today we're asking whether for a letter of support. That's what we're kind of been asked for. Councillor Henderson, did you want to talk again? No, Lochabandu, thank you, Councillor Lochabandu. If we can keep them...
Very quick.
Yep, no, that's fine. If we can keep this quite succinct.
Very quickly, I'm one of the trustees of St Edmunds Hall. I think it's fair to say that the trustees as a group had the reservations and came down not in favour of the proposal. I personally am in favour of it. My observation from passing the car park every day is it is underused. I don't think I've ever seen it full up with cars. In any case, there's generous on-street parking immediately nearby. I think it's all, the trouble is, wherever, if you find other places, there'll be other people popping up saying, great project, but not here, great project, but not here, great project, but not here. And I'm slightly sad to see us saying, great project, but not here, somewhere Somerset County Council has identified as one of the very few possibilities. I think there's also fear of unknown future residents with unknown, disruptive effects. I'm personally reassured by what you said about your processes, screening people, and frankly, I wish them well. I would love to see this project go forward and other sites in Glastonbury as well as this one.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Henderson,
and then Councillor Cottle, and then we'll end it there. The proposed project in the Norwins Road car park, I don't know whether it's been finalised, but there was talk at one point that some of those units would be on stilts, so the car parking spaces would still be maintained, or retained, I should say.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily been involved with the project, but I think that's still ongoing, and it's a different housing association.
Just saying that was a solution, they're not losing the car parking space.
That actually could be considered, yes.
Worship, if I may, I did see that proposal through. The issues were A, expense, and B, overlooking of nearby houses.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Right.
Just a quick one.
Go for it. Councillor Cottle.
Okay, thank you. As some of you are aware, I'm one of the trustees, but I'm also, for my sins, the chairman of the planning at Somerset East, which means in a difficult position,
whereas I need to seek legal advice, which I will be doing, whether I can actually chair this meeting if it ever comes to a planning meeting. So at this time, I cannot commit or say anything that would prejudice me in either way. And I think if you understand the planning system and the regulations, you would understand. So I'd like to leave it at that, but I would like to say that I am taking a great interest in this project from all sides and from all opinions. But until I've taken legal advice, which I am taking, on whether I can chair it or even recommend it to go to a committee, because the way the system works, these sort of things come to me as an individual, possibly, and I need to be sure that I'm on safe ground. So I can't really comment as whether what I prefer or what I don't prefer. Thank you.
Okay, fabulous. So you'll be abstaining today?
I will be abstaining today, and I would imagine that the other trustees will be abstaining.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, thank you. Yes, Councillor Cousins, quickly.
Well, very quickly, if you look on the map that you've got on where it says concept 3, where it says shared access road, there's a piece of green land right next
Councillor
to it.
Cousins, that's wonderful. That's not what we're talking about right now.
I think that it just needs to be flagged up to Somerset County Council that that land was formerly owned by Mendip District Council, maybe owned by Astor now, but it's right next to the car park, and it would be a great place to put 2 of these modular housing to enable parking to exist.
Parking to exist, thank you very much. Thank you. That's Astor. Lovely, thank you. And thank you for...
Point of clarity, can we find out from the clerk if we can vote on?
If we can what? Vote on it? Oh, whether you can vote. Yes. Do they need to declare an interest? The trustees, thank you.
I would have thought, Your Worship, Councillor Cottle has outlined why he wishes to abstain. I don't necessarily think that has to extend to all trustees of the hall, but they may wish to abstain. It's not something for me to make a determination on, it's for the trustees to make a determination on.
Thank you very much.
But there's no financial reward, there's no pecuniary interest there.
No.
And you are being asked a question tonight with your town councillor hat on. 4 of you in the room just happen to also wear the trustees of St Edmund's Hall hat, and Councillor Cottle unfortunately wears the chair of Somerset East Planning Board hat as well. So I'm surprised Nick's neck's not at 45 degrees with the weight of all those hats. But it's for the individual trustees to make a determination, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. I'm really aware of the time, and I think everyone has spoken that needs to speak. If it's okay, did you want to say move to vote? Is that what you were going to say?
I was going to say that in principle,
yes,
we support this project.
We as in the...
Here, so if they want a letter of support from us...
I think we might need to vote on that.
Exactly.
Great, thank you for proposing. Lovely. I would just like to ask one last question, if that's okay. So the modulars, so say they come in, they're like lifted in one big clunk. Can they, if something terrible happens or somewhere else comes up that's great, can they be picked up and put somewhere else? Love it. Love it. Thank you very much. Very last, yes.
Will people in the modular things have car parking spaces?
No, they will.
So they'll be in the car park? I mean, they'll put their cars in the car park?
They won't have cars. There will not be car parking spaces for the cars.
Visitors?
They don't have cars.
Most homeless people don't have cars. So yeah, I suppose that is those are the rules. So now with house building, you have to have a car parking space for some strange reason, where I suppose these are exempt. So that's really good to hear. Thank you so much. So we did have a motion to vote proposal. Thank you very much. So we have a proposal to vote in favour. Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Thank you very much. In principle. Thank you very much. We have a seconder.
I just make clear
Councillor Much.
you're
seconding.
You're
Sorry.
either writing a letter of support or you aren't. There isn't really very much.
Yes, thank you. Are
in
we
principle.
writing a letter of support? Can I please have all in favour of writing a letter of support in principle? Thank you
Well,
very
there's no
much.
in principle about it.
No, there's no principle. We're just doing it. We're not. Thank you very much.
No, sorry. Can I take account there?
Yes, of course. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. Can I have all those against, please? Thank you. All those abstaining. Thank you. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. Is that motion
That's carried, Your Worship.
Carried. Thank you very much, and hope our letter was worth it. Brilliant. Thank you so much for coming and bringing your time. It will come back to planning, and I think more conversations. Thank you very much. That was really illuminating. And yes, all the suggestions of Porchester Drive and putting them on top of each other, it's very exciting. Lovely. Moving on. So, agenda item 7.
Your Worship, unfortunately, the researcher undertaking that piece of academic research, she wanted to be here this evening to explain what her research was about and also gain a letter of support for a funding bid. However, unfortunately, she is unwell and hasn't been able to join us this evening. So she has asked whether that could be considered at a future meeting. So I'll bring it back to you all. So nothing to discuss on item number 7, Your Worship.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Good. That speeds us up slightly. Thank you very much. Brilliant. Thank you, councillors. And sorry if that was a little bit me pushing. Yeah, time was ticking. So going on to item 8, to establish a working group to organise the 24-25 budget drop-in. So is this just, you want a show of hands?
Thank you, Your Worship. If I could quickly explain, it was raised at the annual town meeting in April that it would be handy to have a session for residents who are interested to explain more about the budget setting process and our budget. So there was a date in the diary, but unfortunately owing to workload, that meeting didn't happen. Yourself and myself had a conversation and actually thought, wouldn't it be more useful to have a drop-in, much more participatory than please sit down and listen to us talk about our budget, which I know from first-hand experience is rather boring. So we thought, wouldn't it be better to have an afternoon going into the evening where interested residents could come in and talk to us and ask questions and understand more and make suggestions. So I was hoping for a small, medium, maybe even a large group of councillors to work with me to come up with the format of that evening, what information will be made available, who will be there, how we'll collect the information and what we'll do with it afterward. So that's what I would like, Your Worship.
Perfect. Wonderful. Well, I'm in. Who else is in? Lovely. You go. Oh, brilliant.
Your Worship, I've got yourself, Councillor Manning, Councillor Cottle, Councillor White, Councillor Lokabandu, the Deputy Mayor.
Lovely. Well, that's great. Perfect.
Thank you so much. I'll get in touch with you all to organise a variant. Oh, and yourself, Councillor Smythe. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
I'll be in touch with you all to organise a sit down and we can have a chat about it and work it out and agree on a date.
Thank you so much, Connor. That will be great fun. Thank you. Right, moving on. Item 9, to consider the schedule of payments.
Thank you, Worship. It was distributed. However, if you bear with me for just a second, I will also project it onto the screen. It was circulated in advance. I will try to answer questions where possible. Put it up there. I will. Just go to.
Lovely.
However, as I do not administer finance on a day-to-day basis, I might not have all the answers. I might have to take some of them.
No, it's me.
Schedule of payments does it every time.
He's left the room, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Even just asking about the budget is boring enough, let alone holding a meeting about it.
Oh my gosh. We should have had that one first. No, sorry, that's not. They're lovely. No, totally. No, it's great when people are here.
So it was circulated, Your Worship, and it's up on the board, and
Lovely.
I will try and scroll through it very slowly, but not as to make anyone feel sick.
Yes, Councillor Smythe.
Thank you.
Having seen these before pre-meeting and studied them meticulously, I have no questions to ask. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Here, Councillor Smythe.
Thank you for letting us know. That makes it. Yes, Councillor
Just one small
Henderson.
detail. I am a employee of Stevens Butchers, and I see that there's a payment of £65.
And it was a very well spent £60. Oh, did we only pay the Male Voice Choir £150? They were worth so much more.
If they aren't on the list, Your Worship, there is sometimes a delay with receiving invoices.
No, they are on the list.
They are on
It was
the
just
list. Good.
that we paid them so little.
I assume we paid what they asked for.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm very grateful.
I think that's it. I think the second page is just, which is to sign, but the copy I've got for you to sign is all on one page.
Not this one then.
Yes, on that one, if you see there's two.
Will do.
So yourself and the Deputy Mayor, once everyone's happy with it,
Thank you very much. Sorry, Councillor Henderson.
Just clarification, 2864 through to 2867, they're all St Dunstan House expenses. That's stuff we reclaim, presumably, or we have.
Yes, sorry, Councillor Henderson, could you read the number out again?
2864 through to 2867.
All the Dunstan House.
Design stuff, planning stuff, but that is stuff that we have been.
Yes, Councillor Henderson, that's all that we claim from the town deal quarterly in advance, and then so that is shown in the budget monitoring report as grants or town deal income. Can't remember how Jane categorises it. And then all of this money comes out of it, and then for the next claim it's all reconciled how much has been spent, etc., etc.
Thank you.
All town deal expenditure comes from town deal funds.
Thank you very much. No, you go back.
Thank you. Any other questions or queries, please? Yes, Councillor Manning.
Two observations. 2870 at the town hall. 2874. I'm surprised to see that we had far more rates on this house. Really a fairly small premises. I realise that there may be an element of retail which is possibly putting it up, but I just wonder whether a review is necessary.
Good point. What's that all about?
That's a very good question. Unfortunately, business rates is one of the things that is a bit ethereal to me, even still now. I can only perhaps expect, don't quote me on this, that perhaps some of the usage of the town hall might, for instance, be exempt from rates because we are a council when we meet. That might be something, might not. It's a question I can ask, but ultimately we have to pay what the rating authority wants from us. It's based on square foot and how much it's worth. And I can ask the question, but I don't know the answer.
Thank you. Sorry, I've got Councillor Cousins and then Councillor.
Thank you, Your Worship. If we are exempt from rates for part of the town hall, could we not ask to be exempt from rates for the whole?
That was class.
Lovely. Note that. Sorry, we've got Councillor Serena.
Yes, so I'm curious. Let me put my glasses back on again. It's 2830 to 34 microshade. It's £3,700. This is for IT, and it seems an awful lot when I think of what my broadband, etc., IT costs. So I can't quite understand how we're spending £3,500.
No, Connor knows this one.
So
knows this one. Okay.
What happened there? We moved to Office 365 at the beginning of July. And very kindly, Office 365 decided to put all of our invoices from Microshade into the spam folder. So this is us paying our Microshade invoices. That's about 5 months worth of invoices. It's around £700 a month. That is for Office 365, which actually they offer it to us cheaper than if you bought it directly from Microsoft. And they offer the support on top for the likes of councillors to ring them up when they have a problem. So unfortunately, that cost is what it is. In terms of telephone and broadband, which is elsewhere on here, which is a company called Eurolink, that contract's coming to an end in March, and that is one that I'm currently getting prices for, trying to save a bit of money. But the reason that it's presenting us so much on this schedule of payments is because the new system put their invoices into spam, but it's about, that is the going rate.
If they're giving us tech support, you gave me the phone number. I have phoned them. I have left messages. I have never had a response. I have never actually had any help from them with my problems that I've been having. So I consider it a very expensive system that is not actually working as well as maybe it could be.
Thank you,
Okay,
Councillor.
I will pass that on. That's
Yep.
never been my experience. They've always answered when I have rung them.
Yeah.
And I am no more important than you, Councillor Ronnie Dougal. I will pass on that feedback, and I'll check with you perhaps that maybe you have the correct number, because that's not my experience.
It was the number that you sent me.
Okay.
I will.
But that's not my experience.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Sorry, Councillor Hart? County Councillor Hart.
I was just going to say, I would be very careful asking any questions, because I know that historically when people have said, well, hold on a minute, why is my neighbour paying less than me? What happens is everyone's rate gets raised. So proceed with caution.
Right. Thank you. Yes,
I'd
Councillor.
say very briefly, I found to be very good when I phoned them up. And I'm very IT, despite using this kit all the time. I'm very IT retarded. And their patience is something to really marvel
Bless
at.
their patience.
I've been on the phone for like a couple of hours.
I bet.
And they never lose their patience. And the guy I pay every month for maintaining this not only gets incredibly sarky on every occasion, but sends me a list later of all the years when I've asked the same question.
Wow.
To about 98.
Okay, maybe that explains the phone call. Thank you very much, Councillor Watch. Do we have any other questions on this amazing schedule of payments, please? Sorry, Councillor Cook, was that a...
No.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said something. No, fantastic. I'll sign it. I mean, if everyone is happy with it, I will do.
Aye.
Fabulous. Thank you very much. Something like that. Wonderful. Moving on, councillors. So that was the budget. No, that wasn't. That wasn't the budget monitoring. Now is the budget monitoring report. Thank you.
Thank you, Worship. I'll put that one on the screen. That too was
Lovely.
circulated in advance of the meeting.
Yes.
I'll put the notes up on one side.
You just getting ready.
And the budget monitoring report on the other.
Great. Wonderful. Right, so we've got Councillor Much, Councillor Cook, and then Councillor... sorry, what did I say? Sorry, Councillor Smythe, Councillor Cook, then Councillor Manning, and then Councillor McDougall.
Worship. Again, having studied this meticulously, having received it beforehand, I'd like to point out I'm very happy to see the car park takings for the first 6 months, I believe, is above expected, 91,000. Projected to the end of the financial year, that looks like we're going to be at least £10,000 ahead of ourselves.
Fantastic.
That leads to the question whether or not the barriers are necessary at all, because it seems that people are paying up and it seems to be working a lot more efficiently.
Thank you very much. I've forgotten who's next now. Councillor, no, it's
Manny.
Councillor Cook.
Okay,
Yeah, it was yourself.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, just a question on town hall lettings. So we've taken in 6 months £18,338. Does this no, it doesn't include, does it? Events income. Is that outside events, or anything to do with the inside of the premises?
Should be inside, but
Anybody know?
which number are you talking about? Sorry, I'm not numbered. They're not numbered.
Just above the note that says total income.
Do you have an answer for this? Thank you.
Your Worship, I suspect that the town hall lettings is when we let the town hall to outside bodies, and the events income is income from events that Glastonbury Town Council has put on, whether in the town hall or elsewhere, but not specific to any of the things that are separate items. Perhaps we could think of the Frost Fair, etc.
Okay, all right, thanks for that. Just, I mean, added to, I think, 20,000. I was just looking at the Dunson's House 1 to 4 year projection forecast. I guess put a lot of effort into that, yeah. And I'm just wondering how, I know it's only a kind of guesswork, but it's just concerning looking at the figures of when you consider that 6 months are only taken, well, 20,000. That must include, those projections also include taking from in-house here?
No, if I could, so for want of a better expression, the problem with the town hall is that everyone wants it in the evening. You've only got 7 evenings in a week. Very few hirers want town hall during the day. So there's actually a very small window when people would like to hire the town hall. So for instance, you can just about hear the dulcet tones of the male voice choir. So they hire the main hall on a Tuesday evening. Monday it's 5 rhythms. Tuesday is male voice choir. Wednesday I think is yoga, and Thursday is something else.
Gymnastics.
Can't remember off the top of my head. But everyone wants the town hall in the evening. With St Dunstan's House, the activities and services that are going to be delivered by the NHS, by charities, by the charity sector, by local groups, will largely be during the day. You get an awful lot more people in during the day, and also there are a lot more rooms in St Dunstan's House that people can hire. There are only 3 rooms really in the town hall that are usable. And some of them, for instance, like this room, have got a massive table that we can't do very much with, so it limits what you can actually hire it out for. So a lot of work was done by the subcommittee trying to work out what would be a reasonable assumption of income based on both occupancy and room charges, which both of them were quite conservative with a small c, I think is how the implementation subcommittee described it. It's forecasted that St Dunstan's House will, in terms of operating costs, not capital costs, because we're getting those through grants, so you kind of ignore them. But operating costs, it will start paying for itself in the 5th year. It starts to make a surplus in the 3rd year, but it covers all of its costs in the 5th year. I don't know whether the Deputy Mayor would like to speak a bit more, because actually the spreadsheet for income for St Dunstan's House was actually based off of a lot of work that Councillor Locobandu did.
Thank you. Did you want to?
Yes, we have been meeting as a committee, and we have been looking at the budget once the renovations were opened. I think we'd be very happy to share that with the full council if the full council was interested. Although it's still very fluid, a lot of it is assumptions, and assumptions are figures kind of pulled out of a hat. We do want to be conservative, or cautious, I should say, and just make sure we are underestimating rather than overestimating our income. But if the council wants us to share the fuller predictions, I'm sure we could.
Thank you. Yeah. Is that, yep, right, yep, go for it.
Well, thanks for that. Yeah, it's okay calling it conservative. It's fine.
Thank you, Councillor.
No, thanks for all that work, because that's a lot of work to put together there. But of course, nowhere near the point of reality at the moment, but which is fine, because I would imagine that a lot of the expenses to run all of that, to take I think the first year you took looking at about 80,000, is it? I can't remember, and it's not worth trying to remember precisely and hold you to that. But the staff costs won't come to us, but in fact, business rates, is that going to be relevant? Have you looked into that yet? Because of the
point of order.
Yes, thank you.
Dunstan's House Committee meeting discussion, not a.
Yes,
yeah, right,
so
yeah.
Sorry, thank you.
I'm just looking at it on the.
No, that's it's all good questions, but
I'll
yes.
come to that meeting.
Yes, please, thank you. Do go to the committee. Thank you very much. Right, sorry. Do we? There was a list of people. Yes, Councillor Manning.
I had a query on the St John's clock servicing, which we ascertained at the last meeting was the town clock. My question is, I've been looking at that clock virtually every day, and as you walk up the high street, it's never showing the right time. So now, I do know as well that in whatever, about 3 weeks' time, the clocks are going to be altered. So I don't know how difficult it is to put the clock right, but that should be an opportunity to get it right, so that next meeting it will be showing the right time.
Whoa, there's a challenge.
If I may, Your Worship.
Please.
I stand corrected on what I said in the last meeting, because I actually asked Jane and Jackie about the clock. I thought and assumed it would be the clock on the High Street. I've however been told that the clock on the High Street is the responsibility of the Freemasons, and they have tried for years and years and years to get it to work, and it does not work. The town clock is a little bit of a knot that I have to untie, because that is actually the clock that makes the bells ring in St. John's Church Tower.
Wow.
Now, I don't actually think we legally should actually, I can't remember I have got it from the Chief Executive of the Somerset Association of Local Councils, but there is specific legislation about that town councils and parish councils can not incur expenditure on the property of the church. So I spoke to Jane, and it's an arrangement that predates Jane as the town clerk. And I think what she said was the way that the council, in inverted commas, got around it or justified it in the past was they decided the clock in St. John's that doesn't have a clock face is the town clock. And they have been paying the bill to service it ever since. It's my opinion that we should not be incurring that expenditure, but that is not a discussion that I've had with either councillors or the church yet. But I stand corrected at the last meeting, but I believe the Freemasons have tried to fix that clock that faces up and down the High Street a number of times, and it hasn't worked.
Wow.
So I apologise for giving you the wrong information at the last meeting.
But
every day is a school day.
Thank you so much, Councillor. I think we've got Councillor Cousins, Councillor White, and then Councillor McDougall.
Thank you, Worship. When we were doing a previous sort of assets review many years ago in this council, when Councillor Henderson and I were young men, this issue came up, and it is the clock in St. John's. The Masonic clock, I think, was bought on the precept, on the understanding that it showed the right time somewhere in the world once a day.
Twice a day.
Oh, bargain.
He's moving.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Yes, Councillor.
Thank you. So the town clerk, so it was me who asked that question last time at council, like, is that the clock in the church, and why should this council be paying for its servicing? So thank you. And then I know we have a clock upstairs here.
Thank you. Is this something that needs further discussion outside of this meeting? You pointed. Yes, Lindsay, you're right. Thank you. Sorry.
I was going to ask, there's miscellaneous town support, 3,724. I wondered what that was, and it was above budget.
That is a very good question, Councillor McDougall, and that is one that I do not know the answer to. I will ask Jane and I will email you the answer. That's a budget line I've previously queried in the past. I'll ask exactly what that's about.
And there's also another miscellaneous purchases, 666, and there was no budget for that. So I wondered what that was.
Which area was that under? Sorry.
Right. I thought you might ask me that.
There at the bottom of the list you were just looking at.
Right at the bottom.
Hall and council team expenditure. I expect that to perhaps be, we purchased a carpet cleaner for the town hall, and I think it was about that amount of money, because I'll be very honest with you, I was fed up with the place looking manky. I think that's it, but again, I'll ask that question on those two items, but that rings a bell. That was about £600.
Brilliant. Yes, thank you, Councillor.
I seem to remember in a dim and distant past that Councillor Tucker said that sometime in the past the town council paid for the clock in the tower, but I would have to get that confirmed. But I think that's why it was explained to us when we've asked that question before, why we pay for the servicing, because we actually funded it initially.
gosh, the plot thickens. Yes, Councillor Cousins.
Your Worship, I imagine that this is a discussion that needs to move to property and assets.
Yes.
But I wonder whether, being the father of the house, Councillor Cottle has any recollection.
Oh, none whatsoever.
Way
before my time.
Oh my gosh, okay, this is great. We'll have a clock committee, so can we suggest we move it to property and assets, and that will be a really exciting meeting. Thank you so much. And we will do a report back to full council of the mystery of the town clocks. Fantastic. I had one. Oh, yes, civic hospitality. Who did we hospitalise? Who did we, sorry, what's that for?
That's partly Mayor Sunday, Your Worship.
Oh, thank you.
We can blame you for that expenditure.
Lovely. I didn't spend very much at all.
No.
£432, thank you very much.
Value for money.
Yeah, I like to be value for money. That means, yep. But it has to be spent this year, otherwise we lose it, so we'll do something. Sorry, was there anybody else in the queue? No, fantastic. Are we all happy with the budget monitoring report? Yeah, I will suffice. Fantastic, thank you. Jeannie, oh, do I need to sign anything? No, great, lovely, wonderful. Beautiful, right, thank you. Moving on, so item agenda 11, to note the resolutions of delegated committees. So who do we have?
Thank you, Worship. The version in the file, the online file that you will have access to, is the most up-to-date version. There is a printed version that is out of date. However, I will put the most up-to-date version on the screen because some additional information came in after yesterday when I thought I'll be clever and get ahead of the curve after I printed it all.
Thank you.
So these are largely just for noting, Your Worship.
Noting. I can't, I just went too quick. I said no though. Approval. Thank you. Noted.
So item 2, recommendations, not for this committee, that's for finance and general purposes, but I have to report it on this report.
Thank you.
Again, 3 is for finance and general purposes.
Nice to see the prescription delivery service, sounds fabulous.
4, I don't know whether actually someone wants to propose second and whether you agree with that one. Is that Glastonbury Town Council's planning meeting or the Somerset East planning meeting? So I
propose that council not find a representative of council at that meeting.
I would second that, Your Worship.
Fabulous. Do we want to vote?
I'm happy to go.
Lovely, wonderful, thank you.
24 hours before. Okay.
Do we need to vote? All in favour of going? Move to vote. Fabulous. All in favour? Fabulous. All against? Abstaining?
Yeah, carried, Your Worship.
Carried. Lovely. Well done. Good luck.
And item 5, that's for property and assets next week. So that doesn't need to be considered by this committee, Your Worship.
Thank you very much.
That's it for.
Could I just ask one point of clarity, please? On that, on the resilience one, when we were talking about that, we did ask if you would be able to ask Somerset for the agenda beforehand when our meeting was going to be, when our plan was going to be considered. So that's in the resilience minutes.
Okay, so Councillor Cottle, do you want to speak more to the process of how that actually happens? Because it doesn't automatically go to committee.
Mike, if you could explain to me exactly what you're looking for.
So for Locker Bandu to come to whichever meeting, that we were informed beforehand which meeting of your planning board or whatever was committee, which one it was going to be scheduled in.
One's relating to Glastonbury. Put that through to you automatically. They're not doing that yet because I've already asked.
So it depends if it's going to get called in front of committee, Councillor Cottle. I don't know. I haven't been following it closely myself.
I haven't seen it come to me yet.
No.
It will come to me before it goes to.
So I'm not sure if the planning officer has made a recommendation as to approval or refusal, and at that point, does it not normally come to yourself?
That'll come to me when they've made their recommendation. It will then come to me, and then I will decide whether, as it's Glastonbury, I might let Edric decide whether it goes to the committee or whether it's automatic, just goes straight on through. Okay.
Thank you. Yes, Councillor Smythe.
Could I ask once again that myself as Chair of Planning get the agenda for the next Somerset East meeting on every occasion?
Yeah, I'll make sure that I'll ask them to do that. I'm sure.
On every occasion, if that's okay.
They don't send them to me, Councillor Cottle. I would have to go on the website and find them myself.
Okay, I'll talk to Helen. I'll get that sorted for you.
Thank you very much. Can we do...
Sorry, I'm sorry to lose the plot. Did I just abstain on the solar panel letter?
Yes, you did.
I meant to support it.
Lovely, thank you very much. Noted. It's all good, it passed. Thank you.
Sorry about
Lovely. Glad you're with us. Yes, thank you, Councillor Henderson.
Say that as chair of the planning committee, Councillor Cousins could obviously recommend approval without taking it to committee.
Ah. Thank you,
Although
Councillor
it probably
Cousins.
would be frowned.
I'm not chair of the committee.
Oh, Councillor Cottle.
I know what you meant, and that is very true.
Yeah, and also I remember and I imagine this is still the same now, when we were councillors at Menor District Council, if we had an interest in any item that came to us as the councillor for the ward, that automatically went to the board. So as you have an interest in this, being a member of this council, surely that has to come to board, to committee.
Now, what I'll do, that's not necessarily the case.
A word with the chair.
What I would do, right, is it's my discretion. But what I will most probably do, I'll seek legal advice on it at the same time anyway from Martin. But what I would most probably do is get Edric to say yay or nay, whether it goes. He's my vice chair.
Brilliant.
And if there's something that I feel that I shouldn't be talking about or whatever, I'll get Edric to cover it. So, but he listens to what I say.
He's a good man. Perfect. Are we happy with that? Brilliant. Okay. Oh, it's gone. We ready to move on? Oh, Councillor Cousins? Oh, yeah.
Your Worship, I was going to speak to item A on this, if we may, the advisory committee recommendation.
Perfect, please do.
So you will see that there was proposed by the Arts, Cultural and Events Committee a request for £1,000 from the Council's budget reserves to invest in the Glastonbury film project. And this was seconded by Councillor Smythe. I would, as the chair of the committee, I would just like to ask the town clerk if he would be happy to play a short video for us before I speak to this, Your Worship, if that is acceptable.
So I'm going to go for back in 1 minute.
Maybe without sound. So if you imagine a silent movie,
Obviously, it needs a lot of editing, doesn't it? No, no sound.
We've got the soundtrack downstairs.
so councillors, with your imagination in full flight around the wonderful orchestral score that accompanied this piece, this was the trailer for the movie. Please don't worry, Connor, we've seen it now.
Impactful.
Quite emotionally. It's like Game of Thrones, isn't it?
Thank you very much, Colin. So this, Your Worship, was the trailer for this premiere of the film that we made over the last year, 2022, to capture the amazing events that happened in the town over the Platinum Jubilee. And of course, it was the centenary of the Alice Buckton pageant and parade in 1922. And so we've included it within the movie, parts with the blessing of the British Film Institute, parts of the original movie too, and we've used them as a kind of inspiration for elements of the movie that we've created this year. The purpose of creating this movie, not only to have a historic, was the idea that this council could market the film through DVD and sell it in the Glastonbury Information Centre. And so we are coming to the council to request another £1,000 so that we can complete the production of the DVD for sale, and that will include some extras. Many of you may have been there when the mumming play happened, and the entire mumming play has been filmed and will be edited together as an extra for the DVD, so you can watch the full mumming play. There's also a presentation that was given at the start of the year, which basically tells the story of what's going to happen during the year. And that whole presentation, which was made by Paul Weston, the historian and author, that is also going to be an extra on the DVD. And we're currently in conversation through Flying Tiger. We've done a tremendous job on this. I must say that their film was absolutely marvellous. For those who saw it, I'm sure you'll agree. Flying Tiger are now communicating with the BFI to see whether we can also have the original Alice Buckton film as an extra on the DVD. The production of the 2 extra films and also the rendering of the BFI film would cost some money, and Flying Tiger are going to put some money into that themselves, and they are agreeing to do a 50-50 deal with us on the production of the DVD. But we need, for the extra editing that is required, we need the extra £1,000. Just for those of you who are concerned about whether or not this is a waste of money, this is investment to make money back through the DVD sales. The DVDs themselves are going to cost around about a couple of pounds to produce, if that, and we sold a few screening copies at the event. We sold 30, it was a cash only sale, but we sold 30 at the first screening. The full cost of the entire film, as far as the council is concerned, all the money that we've invested in it, if we sell 450 DVDs, we will reclaim, get back all the money we've invested in this, all the whole lot. And so I imagine that a film like this could be sold at the information centre, will probably sell at least 450 copies, at which point it's cost the council nothing to do. So I would like to suggest, as the chair of that committee, that this would be a worthwhile investment for the council to do, and I'm sure that there are many members of our own community that would be happy to buy a copy of the DVD, and of course all of the tourists. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Cummins. Yes, Councillor. Sorry, Councillor Much. Sorry.
If this is working.
It's my alias. Thank you, Your Worship. Having seen this film on the 29th of September and been thoroughly impressed by it, as were others, including the High Sheriff and the Lord Lieutenant Somerset, I think this £1,000 would be well invested, very wisely invested, and as John said, 400 copies would very easily recoup the total investment in this council. Also, it's going to be an asset to this council, the film itself, future use. It's going to promote tourism in this town. And bearing in mind we're doing so well with car parks, £1,000 out of our reserve is very affordable in my opinion. So I'd like to second that proposal if it was a proposal.
Thank you very much.
And just move to vote unless anyone's got
Thank
anything
you,
else to say.
Councillor. I think we've got a few more comments. Sorry, we've got Councillor Manning first. He did have his hand up first. I'm so sorry. I know.
I also saw the film on the 29th and I thought it was very well put together. I was slightly surprised though that we weren't charging admission on that night, and a lot of the people around me thought that they would have been quite willing to have paid not a large sum of money, but £2 or £3. The tickets were actually free, and I also understand that somebody bought 30 tickets and then didn't turn up, which meant that the actual evening was shown as sold out.
Yep.
So some people couldn't come, didn't come. And then yet at the same time we had empty seats. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I think each time we need to actually check that. Is this a reply?
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry, okay, we have right to...
So the committee would definitely like to re-show the film, and it has been suggested that we charge a small amount for the tickets.
Thank you very much. Right, Councillor
Thank you,
Henderson.
Thank you. Yeah, I didn't see the film, but it looks great and I'm quite happy to support it. But it would just, could we have an update as to how sales go once things get going? Thank you.
Fabulous. Councillor.
Yes, I'm happy to support. I just want a bit of clarity about what measures you're going to take to stream it, because that's the modern way of doing it.
Yes, Councillor.
Thank you. Yes, we are going to do 2 extra things with Flying Tiger. They are, of course, a company that does a lot of videos. They do all the videos for the Abbey. They've done the videos for the Town Deal. Very, very good company. And they have advised the council that if we stream it now, there will be bootleg copies of the DVD before we can say Jack Robinson. And so their advice is that first we sell it on DVD, then we sell it on memory stick, because lots of people obviously don't have DVD players, they can have it on memory stick. But as soon as you put it onto a memory stick or stream it, then the what it can be bootlegged. So it's in the plan of marketing the video in different ways and streaming it as well, but this will be a little bit later. The High Sheriff was mentioned. He wrote
Oh, have you got one too? Fabulous. I was going to hand it to you. The High Sheriff, Robert Druitt, the Deputy Lieutenant, glowing letter.
Then I'll leave you to say how glowing he was.
Well, I was going to hand it to you actually for you to read. But no, he was found the whole film absolutely mesmerising and a marvellous, insightful into our community and lots of other lovely things. Yes, Councillor Cook.
So it's not Flying Tiger that made it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Flying Tiger. They filmed it and they've edited it, but the AIDS committee had provided an overview of the way that they would like the film to be made, and then the direction and everything else came out of that. So Flying Tiger, I think they've done a tremendous job, actually, well above and beyond the amount of money we paid them. I know how much the Town Deal and the Abbey paid them, and they have done us proud, I must say. And they also have taken some of the comments back from the first screening and are going to do a slight re-edit in relation to those, which they're not charging us for. They are really committed and dedicated to this and have been tremendous support to the council.
Brilliant.
Well done, Tash and Alex.
Thank you very much. Absolutely. Well done, Tash and Alex. Can I just say they are local as well. They're a local film company. Do we have any more questions, considerations, or would you like to move to vote? Because we have a fabulous. Thank you. All those in, do we know what budget? Do we need to know what budget?
We need £1,000,
You just need £1,000 from reserve. Thank you. Brilliant. All those in favour of, thank you very much. Lovely.
Can I?
Yes.
So I'd need someone to propose that the recommendation is accepted.
John did propose, and it was Mike. I'm so sorry, Mike. That was like half an hour ago.
And sorry, a vote, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. All those in favour, please, of £1,000 for the finishing of the film. Thank you very much. All those against? All those abstaining? Thank you very much. Carried. Well done. Wonderful. Thank you very much, people. Can I just bring people's attention, please, to the time? As was agreed, that it's now coming up to 9:30. So we need actually an agreement from people if they would like to stay, or those that don't want to stay any longer.
Just a clarity.
Yes.
Did we say that the time starts at the end of public participation?
Yes, it does technically.
Well, okay, but 9:30 was a kind of time that we put our minds to, just because it does. I hear you. Thank you. But 9:30 is. Sorry, Serena.
I was just moving on to B.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Your Worship, could I ask?
Yes.
If you do wish to extend the length, I didn't know how long public participation took, so it's safer if someone can propose and someone to second to suspend Standing Order 3X and extend the meeting.
I'm happy to propose, Your Worship.
Fabulous. All those in favour, please, to suspend standing orders and
3X, not all of them.
3X. Thank you very much. But if people do need to go, please do, and we will try. Let's all try and get through this last bit.
Against.
Oh, all against. Okay, fabulous. Thank you very much. Any abstentions? Great. Sorry, motion carried. Right, let's get through this as quick as possible.
So I'm surprised that it's not recorded that there was a recommendation from the Climate and Ecological Emergency, because we were advised by Melissa that we should ask for our budget for the next year, and it was recommended that we ask for 1,000 for next year. Our first couple of years we had 500, and the last couple we've had 700. It's been spent very well on open days, on people's assemblies, on bus transport, on newsletters. I don't think we've ever overspent on anything. If anything, we underspend and carry reserves forward.
No, that's wonderful.
So we're asking for 1,000 for next year.
Okay, how does this work?
That will be finance and general purposes, but I'm just going to make a note of that.
Well, I noticed that the other groups were asking for their budget for next year, 1,000.
Yeah, it's supposed to go to finance and general purposes, but the process we follow of reporting, basically we report everything at this meeting, even if it goes to another committee. It sounds silly, but that's the way we do it. But I will make a note right now.
Is that okay?
So we were asked to bring it forward to this.
But does it come to here or does it go to?
Finance and general purposes, I've made a note.
Finance and general purposes. Sorry.
Okay.
That's the wheels that turn.
So the other thing was about that leaflet, if you remember, that
oh, yes.
talked to you last time. So we've been really fortunate. We found sponsorship for the printing.
Oh my gosh.
So the printing is going to be paid for by Sunlit Solar.
Right.
And so together with the Town Council logo on that empty page, if you remember, under the grants, we will also have the Sunlit Solar and the Town Council together with a little word about that Sunlit Solar are giving discounted installations for Glastonbury residents and are sponsoring the leaflet. So that leaflet is in final production now. I can't show it to you at the moment, but we hope to have it out within the next couple of weeks. Now, as this town council said that they wanted to do personal distribution rather than Royal Mail, we have got half a dozen people from the SEAC committee who are willing to do distribution. I remember Mike said he would offer to coordinate because he knows what roads and how many leaflets and so on. That makes 7. But we need 11 more, and I remember people from this committee said that they were willing to help distribute the leaflets. And I would quite like names if I could.
Lovely. Well, let's just.
Because what we agreed was if we didn't get the right number of people willing to do it, that I would then go to Royal Mail and get.
Of course, of course. Do you have a date? I think that's going to be important.
15th of October.
Oh.
We want to have the numbers.
Okay, that's the unitary.
We want to have the agreement from the people that they will do it, that we need to know.
No, that's fine, but when is the date that they need to go, when do we need to?
At the end of October.
Thank you, that's what we need to know, right, not 15th, because that's the unitary day.
Our 15th of October, I would like to have names from people here.
Okay, well, no, can we just do a show of hands? Who is?
Steve.
Can I say that people are committing to 2 or 3 hours?
Yes.
Yes.
2 to 3 hours.
Lovely, thank you very much. So are people here willing to put their names to it here and now?
To distribute?
I'm only free on the 29th.
Ian.
Okay. But as
we've got and we can deliver them when we want.
We can deliver it once.
Thank you, that's exactly it. Yeah, that's the one.
We need to know by the 15th, so I could go to Royal Mail.
Lovely. Thank you. Hands up again, please, all those who are willing to put a few hours in. Thank you. So we have.
Okay.
Paul, Steve.
Paul, thank you.
Indra, Lindsay, LB, Lilith.
Mike is coordinator.
Thank you, Lilith. John.
Yeah, I've got John.
Ian, twisting you around. Lovely. Ian. Okay, full house.
Lovely. My walking abilities.
All good. You're all good.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very much.
And if we don't get the right numbers of people willing to give 2 to 3 hours, then
that's
by
fine.
the 15th, then I will go to Royal Mail.
Well, keep us informed, and then we can maybe bring in other people as well. So rather than do that,
if you could let me know by the 15th.
Okay.
So we've got 6, we've got 12. So we're 2/3 of the way there.
Wonderful. Thank you. Keep us informed.
Can I ask one question?
Very quickly.
Is the clerk happy with the way that the leaflet is laid out? Mention something so.
Well, the town council has agreed to support the contents, and the town council has previously used its channels to advertise the discount for Glastonbury residents. I believe actually it was negotiated through the town council before my time. Sorry?
Aye.
Sorry. So that doesn't change the leaflet at all for me, because it's something that the town council has already in the past supported.
Fabulous.
I am happy.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Brilliant. Are we still on number 12? Updates, advisory committees? Yes, thank you, Councillor.
Thank you, Your Worship. The World Heritage Status Advisory Committee. We have received a positive communication from Glastonbury Abbey that has asked the committee to move forward with employing a consultant. And it's something that we need to do for the pre-tentative list aspect of this. It's slightly sooner than perhaps we thought as a committee, and so we were intending to put a budget in through finance and general purposes next year. But there is an imperative, because the World Heritage Advisory Committee, having such a document prepared, briefing prepared by a consultant, would enable us to move forward sooner with the Abbey and with the National Trust, and they are the two key players within this. And the additional benefit would be that if any of the other attractions of Glastonbury are deemed to be unique enough, then the consultant will be able to add them to our pre-tentative list bid. So there are other places in the town that may attract the right attention, if you understand. And then we would have to speak to the people who are the owners or landlords of those sites. So it's quite a useful thing for us to do at this stage. And we're quite aware that one of the Abbey trustees was involved in the World Heritage site application and the success of Bath becoming one. So it's very useful for us to have that sort of input into this. We also have the support of the current officer for Bath World Heritage site on our side as well as the support, as those who have seen the movie that was screened on the 29th, the Deputy Lieutenant Edward Baden-Coward, who mentions it in the film. See it. So because we haven't put a budget together, I did chat with Connor and say, well, are there any, we need £10,000 for the consultants' progress. That will be for a period of time until the briefing's achieved. But I did talk to Connor about whether or not there was any amount of money anywhere in our budgets that might be used, and he did point out that through the Neighbourhood Planning Committee, we have discovered that we don't need to pay for our referendum. That is something that another authority, who will remain nameless, Somerset, will pay for. So in doing so, that £10,000 budget that we put in for the referendum appears to be available, and we felt that it might be useful, and there may be merit in asking the council whether or not that budget could actually be moved across and allocated to the World Heritage Committee, so we'll be able to move forward with the consultation as desired, and that any unspent money from that amount could be then delegated to a reserve for the World Heritage, because it's going to be an ongoing thing for this council and its partners as we move forward. So any unspent money from that amount be delegated as a reserve for the committee, and that is the recommendation from the committee, and that is the proposal I bring to you now, Your Worship.
Blimey, down the back of a sofa. Yes, thank you, Councillor. Oh, you.
No, after.
Okay, great, lovely. Thank you, Councillor Smythe.
Is this something for the Neighbourhood Plan Committee to consider, or do we vote on it now?
I will leave it to the clerk to answer that question.
I was just going to mention, so I didn't write this minute, so it's not quite as clear as I would have written it. There are two separate budget lines for the neighbourhood plan. There's one budget line for the neighbourhood plan consultant, and there's one budget line for the neighbourhood plan referendum. This relates specifically to the budget line for the neighbourhood plan referendum, which we do not need to pay for, and certainly even if we did, it's not going to happen this financial year. So full council, sitting above everything that happens within the council, is really the place that can decide where budget lines get changed. So at the meeting, I was asked, Connor, is there any money? I had two answers. I had a succinct answer, which was no, and I had a considered answer that was, well, yes, but we'll have to agree to move it from one to another because we now don't need to pay for the referendum. So the recommendation from the World Heritage Status Advisory Committee is that full council, it's recommending that full council agrees to change that budget line to be made available for a consultant to be employed. Now, at that time, a recommendation will have to come back to full council because the committee cannot make any decisions. So a recommendation at that time will have to be made. But the recommendation at this stage, so that the committee know what they have and haven't got, is that the budget line for the referendum be changed to a budget line available to employ a consultant for World Heritage status. and that at the end of the financial year, rather than what normally happens, that any unspent money just gets swirled around in a big cauldron and put back into general reserve, is then actually put in an earmarked fund. So let's pick round numbers. If we spent £6,000 in this financial year, the remaining £4,000 would go into an earmarked fund exclusively for use to ward, with a recommendation from the World Heritage Status Advisory Committee. That is the recommendation that is in front of you this evening. Yes, full council can make that decision because this body sits above everything that happens in the council.
Thank you very much, Connor. Councillor White. And then
Thank you.
Councillor Smythe.
Yes, I'd like to propose that we change that budget line and then ring fence any money not spent in this financial year to go into the World Heritage Committee.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a seconder?
I'm seconding that proposal.
Oh, no, Kate's Sabrina's seconding it, sorry. Lovely. Can we move to vote? Are we happy to move to vote? Thank you. All those in favour of moving the budget? Fantastic. Thank you very much. All those against? All the any abstentions? One abstention. Thank you very much. Motion. Oh yes.
And I'm just speak to point 2. When I was having my knee X-rayed, I bumped into Councillor Napper, who was having his chest X-rayed, and I did ask him about that field for the park and ride that had been mentioned by him for the World Heritage Site, and he said that he would speak with the owner of the field. So I thought I would just let this council know.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Napper is going to speak with the owner of the field.
Yeah,
Park and ride
good.
for the
Doing
World
it.
Heritage Site.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Moving on.
That is it for this item.
Thank you very
Your
much.
Worship.
That's brilliant. How very exciting. Finding 10 grand. Wonderful. Are any more, please, reports, advisory committees, any more recommendations for decisions? No, thank you very much. That was very... Right, 13, to receive unitary council's report. May I please ask that, because I know you both do, but maybe don't need repetition. So yes,
Okay,
thank you very much.
Very quick, just 2 things. You've already received my written one.
Thank you
today.
very much.
2 things I would like. One, maybe from Connor, if he knows. Do we have a map of the grit bins all over the town?
Oh, yeah.
Because I want to go around and check them and make sure that they're all full and that they're all looking good. That's one. Do we have one?
We do not have one, Councillor Cottle. Your esteemed colleagues at Somerset Council do, however, because they emailed me not so long ago, Councillor Cottle, and stated that they, as the Highways Authority, would be undertaking an exercise to establish the location and status of all the grit bins in Glastonbury. In previous years, the County Council has asked our staff to do it. This year, the email said that they are going to do it. So your esteemed colleagues at Somerset Council know where all the grit bins are.
I would double check on that because I saw an email recently that didn't say that.
Well, unless my education was so poor that I cannot read properly, which is possible, I am certain, because it took me by surprise. I read it a couple of times because we've done it in the past, that they, as the Highways Authority, were undertaking that exercise themselves this year. I think probably, if I dig through old emails, I have either a list or a map from previous years that I could probably give you, but that is at least a year out of date if any other grit bins have been added. But I believe Somerset Council are going to undertake that exercise themselves.
Because I was a bit suspicious when I saw something the other day. That's that one. And the other one is, quickly, hedges that are going over into the pavements.
No.
If you could take pictures of those and any potholes you notice and report online.
Really?
And I've got plenty of potholes, but it's very easy to do. And it will save me a lot of work because I'm doing a bit of that in the moment, to be honest. So you know where to go to do it. If you could actually, when you spot something, report it. Don't worry how minor it is, but I've got a lot that I'm already doing. And it's, so it's sensible if you do that, because I think everybody's got a smart camera, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'd be the easiest way. Okay.
Thank you. Can I just quickly, there was an email I copied you into, a gentleman on Magdalen Street, talking about the awful. Did you receive that? Can I give you an update as
about
to?
that, because I did take Mike Rigby and showed it, and he took photographs of it, so that it would go and be looked at.
Okay, but we don't have any. I can't tell him any time scales.
No, I can't tell him, but
Okay.
I'll chase Mike up and find it when I can have a look at it.
Fabulous. Councillor Osborne, did you have your hand up?
Yes, I did. I've got a message from Councillor Napper. He's saying, well, from his symptoms, can you please draw attention to the footpath condition on Street Road? So he's doing exactly what you said.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I think I've done that as well. So.
I'm going to forward a couple of things.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Great.
He's informed you, Susan.
Okay, thank you very much. That's great. So I'm really sorry. So let's have Councillor Lindsay, Steve, Mike. Lovely. Go for it.
Right, so I'm bringing this up in full council because I need the backup from other members of councillors that part of the Adverdi contract is to weed Chuckwell Street. We've got extra hours allocated when we went to Foam Stream. We also, the deal was that we get some weeding down in Chuckwell Street, and it is a disgrace.
I actually agree with you, Lind, but do we know if ID Verdi have used up their hours? We don't know, do we?
It takes a long time eating those sandwiches.
That is specifically where we can't do Foam Stream. So it is Chuckwell Street that they have to do.
And they've been told this, they know this.
Yeah. Well, the workers that I spoke to don't, so perhaps they need to go to the boss.
Not easy, but we'll try.
Yeah.
Another thing then, on that same subject, why not do what Councillor Shane Collins does in Free?
Oh, Hoedown.
Hoedown.
Yeah.
That would be an idea to do, because I already found that I could get a lot of volunteers quite easily to do stuff like that. And but Councillor Cousins at the time informed me that I couldn't do it because they all had to be some test or something. So I think that maybe there is some merit in trying that as well. Yes, Lindsay.
I think you're going to get difficulty getting people volunteering because actually it's poisonous spending any time in that road, more than about 10 minutes.
Are you talking about the fumes?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's just your area. Yeah. I'm thinking of the whole town.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm talking about Chuckwell Street.
That's fabulous. Sorry, can we move on? Sorry, we did have a thank you, Councillor Henderson.
Thank you. I did email you about a tree bough that has come down on Paradise Estate.
I haven't seen it.
Right. Well,
when was it sent?
I sent it last week.
Which account?
Your Somerset Council address. Any road up.
I haven't seen anything, Mr. Henderson.
A tree bough has come down next to the playground in Paradise Estate. The bough that's come down needs to be removed. It's not massive, but the residents are worried that maybe something bigger could be dangerous. So the tree wants looking at, basically.
Okay, which road is it on?
It's you can get to it from well, any road. Where the playground is in Paradise Estate, there's a massive tree right at the far end. It's that one there. I can't remember. It's Helier Close. You go down Helier Close, pull into the car park, and it's right there.
I'll go down and take a photo.
Okay,
do you need that written down?
So I'm just.
Because I've got another one down there that they still haven't fixed from a year ago.
Something I just heard about today. On the 18th of August, National Power were doing some work up Hillhead and Roman Way and Torview, I believe. From that works, all the streetlights have gone off in Hillhead Close, although they weren't having any work done in their road. The lady who got in touch with me today has been in touch with the council and Northern Power, National Power or Western Power or something, and they said it would all be done by the 26th of September. They still haven't got any streetlights. Now I know when we had Mendip and Somerset, any streetlight issues were kind of some streetlights belong to Mendip and some streetlights belong to Somerset. Yeah. Now, I know this is probably a problem caused by the works done by the power company, but I am reporting it to the county council, Somerset Council, because they are still responsible for the streetlights.
So we've got the numbers.
Well, you don't need numbers anymore because they're all yours now, aren't they?
No, you've still got the number of the pole.
Well, I'll find out.
Well, no, I'll go up and have a look.
But it's Hillhead Close anyway.
Hillhead Close.
I haven't got
yeah.
any streetlights.
I'm going to chant that there hasn't been in touch with me.
Okay. So I'm passing that. And I have got an incident number from Western Power if you need it. But you know roughly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think I'll just go via the other way on that one.
Thank you.
Right. John, did you have a question?
Well, I think the appropriate training is Chapter 8. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. It is. Thank you.
Okay. Right.
Oh, good grilling. Yes, Councillor White.
Thank you. So mine was just very quick. I noticed a lot of road signs have vegetation growing over them.
I've already been on that one.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Sorry. Councillor White, was there anyone after Councillor White? No, fantastic. Thank you very much. Susie, please.
I mean, I haven't got anything very interesting.
That's
it's just to tell people to remember to register their votes. Apparently that's all being posted out.
Brilliant.
School admissions have to be in, so if pass this on to people. If you're changing school or starting school, it's open now, you have to apply online. The closing dates for secondary are the 31st of October, and for school starters, rising fives, the 15th of January 24. The Go Green grant, Go Green scheme and Somerset Green Business Grant scheme. These are introduced to offer businesses help and financial support to reduce their energy consumption and carbon emissions. The scheme offers free energy audits and support to develop individual costed and prioritised sustainability plans. Grants can be capital and or revenue funded up to 50%. So I'll give the email address to Connor, and I don't know where you can put it, but it's quite a useful thing for local businesses. Plastic recycling, we kind of discussed that last time. It's saying that Somerset has now got total UK-based recycling of all their plastics this last year, so thank themselves for that. I just wanted to pass that on. The Youth Parliament, to get anyone aged between 11 and 17 involved, and that is, I'll give again the details to Connor, but that's open for nominations until the 12th of November. And then just, this was specifically aimed at people whose children have just left home to go back to university, but I guess it could just be a general plea for hosts for Ukrainian families, basically. But they were saying, you know, if you're 18-year-old, 17-year-olds just vanished off to uni, you might kind of think that that's something to help with.
Nice.
And we're saying that as a council, we have helped 1,500 families or individuals and host families up until now. So we've kind of done some really good work, but just encouraging if anyone knows anyone who might have some space. I think, and nothing, just Wells Christmas Market will be on again starting on the 16th of December.
Joy, joy. I'll put it in my diary. Thank you very much. Any questions? Councillor Cousins.
But not just a point of clarity, I suppose, but would the clerk be happy to tell the YMCA that the Youth Parliament applications are now current, because the Glastonbury Youth Council, they were talking about getting members of the Youth Council onto the Youth Parliament.
Yes, I can pass that on. I would hope they're already aware, but I'll make sure that they're aware.
Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions for our county councillors? No, thank you very much. Thank you very much, county councillors.
Yep.
Perfect, lovely. Unitary council reports. 14, to receive verbal updates from representatives to outside bodies. Do we have any? updates. Yes, thank you. Hello.
So I suppose the LCN is an outside body.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So we met it for the second time yesterday in Stowell. We were going to discuss 3 areas that the chair had decided from our first meeting, and that was health, especially pharmacy closures. That ended up taking up the whole meeting, so I've got a bit more to say about that. And next meeting, we're going to be talking about transport, in particular community transport and active travel. So any issues you want to bring to that. It seems like the LCN can provide a bit of officer support for getting grants. So that's the usefulness of the LCN idea.
I hope it's a bit more useful than that. But yeah.
Well, it's also talking a lot about focusing on issues that we choose to talk about, you know, and with the idea of getting projects together and working groups. And the other issue that was on the agenda was the environment, in particular fly tipping and grass cutting. So presumably that will be the following meeting, which will be in January. So the focus was on health and especially the pharmacies closing. I'm directing this at Paul, really, who's been doing a bit of work on this. That Liz Lyshon was interested in following up on this, so it might be good to have a bit of dialogue with her on the delivery idea. Yeah. So providing a delivery service, and they also wanted to get an information leaflet together to say what other than GPs, what other services there are, because the NHS is not doing public health now. It's the Integrated Care Board since July, so that's something I didn't know about. So it's an opportunity to have new projects, I suppose, and support them in doing what they're doing. And then lastly, we do have a provisional dedicated officer, and his name is Nathan Turnbull. So, and if anybody wants to go to any of these meetings, you can, but you don't get a vote. It's lcn@somerset.gov.uk if you want to get a link and join up. Next one is 27th of November.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Yes, and then Councillor Cousins, yeah.
My question is, I was there online, but I wasn't in the room. But it didn't seem to me like there was enough people from the parishes. Now, I think there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from Glastonbury, including me online. Okay. There was also a couple from Street, 1, 2, 3 at least from Street that I could work out on my thing.
Quite a few from
But
Street.
there was only 4 tables, so there couldn't have been that many people from the parishes, which is a bit disappointing, don't you think?
Yeah, quite agree. I mean, we had Boltonsborough and Barton St David on my table. There were a couple of people from the sort of Cossington area, I think, on another table.
A table as well.
There
And
was a mere one, wasn't there?
Yeah.
yeah, so
Not a lot.
No, greatly reduced number of
No,
people.
I'm going to talk to Matt about finding a better way to get people involved, I think, because I wasn't happy with that.
It wasn't very clear what we were going to achieve at the last meeting.
No.
It's a little bit clearer to me now. And now we have a dedicated officer, it seems like something might be possible.
Yeah, somewhere. Okay.
I did speak to the officers, the officer, there was only one person there. Yeah. And I said, I don't know if you remember, when we went to the one in the street, which was you came to that one as well.
Yeah.
Way better. Yeah, massively. We all had to give our email addresses on that day, didn't we? So I said, well, can you not just email those people and try and re-engage with them? And I think all of us around this table, like encouraging people to go is really important because it's totally open-ended from what I can work out. It's supposedly driven by us as a community.
Yeah.
And I think particularly people like you guys would actually really get somewhere with it. And the funding seems really woolly. you know, like, is it, isn't it, can we, can't we? But they keep saying there is funding. It's not very specific what it's for, what it is, how much it is, how easy it will be to get. But I think it's worth us trying to attend, us guys, and anyone that we can kind of encourage to go along, and, you know, seeing what we can get out of it, because we're only going to get out what we put in.
Yeah, well said. Thank you, Councillor
Just,
Hart.
just one
White,
point,
if we can do
just
this
one
quite
point
quickly.
of clarity on that. I think that one clashed with the meeting.
It really
It
did.
did,
I know.
yeah.
I would have loved to have gone.
Yeah, I was going to go.
They did,
elsewhere.
so the next two, did they put up both the next two and said they were
Yeah.
Mondays, but they were happy for us to say, listen, can we choose a different day or whatever? So if
Okay.
we give some input.
Great. No, no, that's fine. That day is not bad. It was just yesterday. Perfect. It would be great to see those dates. Thank you very much.
Yes, well, I
You
did
don't
have
have to
them,
get-
27th of November, and then the other one was, where are the medallions? 29th of January.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Can I say one more thing?
Very quick.
Who were this? I can't remember the names. Matt and who's the other guy? The
Brian Knickerbocker.
Brian Knickerbocker.
So they both said, they're both very keen, and we discussed this at the first meeting as well, to say we can have more meetings than
Absolutely.
the ones that can just be supported by Somerset, which seem to be not many. And we felt that, particularly in the early stages, more meetings would be better to try and get something going.
Great.
So at that point, they can call meetings, we can decide when we want meetings. So I
Great.
just think it's about trying to get people involved.
Perfect. No, that's a really good point, and making it inclusive. Thank you, Lindsay. Any more other outside bodies? Yes, please.
Thank you.
Councillor White and then Councillor Manning.
You're going to do pharmacy, aren't you?
No, I wasn't.
No, I won't. Just town deal. There's still projects waiting for planning approval. So the town clerk's going, yes, 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 yes. And then the farm is also waiting. So those things we're promised, they're going to happen very soon. The most important thing is Tina McEwen, as one of the officers, finished, so end of September. Julie Reader-Sullivan finishes on the 20th, so next week, and she's going CEO of Headway at Gloucester. And so we've got Jane Sharp as our town deal programme officer, so that's the main thing. But some of the projects are sort of rolling on quite nicely.
Thank you very much, Councillor.
Yeah.
Is this a direct question?
It is.
Thank you very much. Yes, Councillor.
Yeah, the Travellers project that sits behind the boat project.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called.
Enabling project.
Enabling project, right. I've had a resident of, no, it's not.
Sorry, you're talking
about Moorlands?
Moorlands one.
Yeah.
Yeah, landings, yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, it's not a town deal project.
No.
Project.
No.
Isn't it?
No.
So where's their 100,000 coming from, or whatever it was they were given?
No, there's an
That's a separate
enablement.
amended money.
Ah, right, because I had somebody coming to me asking about that. Oh, well, that's clarified that. Thank you.
Point of clarity.
Point of clarity.
So
Thank you, Councillor
there was
Evans.
a allotment of money made many years ago, before we were on the council. I imagine Council Cotton knows about it. That was to support the development of Travellers site.
Hooray.
Created a land trust or some other appropriate device, and that has been done by the members of the Moorland community, the Moorland Travellers site community, through the help of people like Tony Thompson, and therefore they were able to access the funding that was earmarked for them.
Thank you, John.
Very clarified. Thank you very much. Was that any? Nope, that was fine.
Yeah, that's
Anything
good,
else?
thank you.
Oh, so Councillor Manning and then Councillor Cousins. Thank you.
I've got two. Councillor White prompted me to say something about pharmacies. I've got a meeting this week, hopefully, which will talk about more about the distribution,
Brilliant.
so that will be sorted. The other thing is, and it's very tentative, but I've had another lead, and I think there's a very good chance of this one that we will get a new pharmacy in town.
Hey.
Oh.
If this one comes off,
Yeah.
because of this person's background, it's sort of a bit of a shortcut, so it would only take about 3 or 4 months.
That's
But,
such good
It's
news.
still very tentative, so I don't want to say
No,
too
that's
much.
great. Even tentative is fabulous. Thank you very much.
The other,
So you
unless
carry
there's a
on.
question on
Yep,
that,
go on for it.
Otherwise, I'll go on to my next one. Unless there's a question on pharmacies.
Go for it.
The other thing I wanted to say was this evening, I went to a meeting of the Chamber of Commerce, which don't happen very often. And at this meeting, Glastonbury Chamber and Street Chamber agreed to merge to become
Brilliant.
Street and Glastonbury Chamber
That's
of
a great
Commerce. As a result of that, the chairman of Street and Glastonbury Chamber of Commerce is somebody who we know quite well. That is Laura Zaki, who was the previous mayor of Wells, of Street.
Yeah.
Sorry, leader of Street Parish.
Is that Laura Wolfers?
Wolfers.
Yeah, Wolfers.
Yeah, yeah.
She's the chairman.
Person.
Yeah.
She's the chair of the new combined, brilliant, because that was her idea.
Street and, yes, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, there's 2 vice chairs. There's one from Street and one from Glastonbury.
Brilliant.
One from Street is John Level from Stroke College.
Oh, wow.
One from Glastonbury is Jill Barker.
Okay.
What a super group. That's such good news you bring to this table.
Thank you.
So
Yes.
much, Paul.
Most welcome.
Lovely. Councillor Cousins.
Just to, one that you've already heard about, but I must say that St Edmunds Ward Community Hall trustees were deeply concerned about the loss of car parking for the hall with the new development. And I just want to reiterate that to this council. I know you voted to support the development. Secondly, I am a member, although I didn't know it until recently, of the Axe and Brew Internal Drainage Board.
Yes,
And I had been before, and I am again. And I also now am sitting on their Finance and Governance Subcommittee. Thank you.
Brilliant. That's good news too. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nick.
Lovely. Any more, please? Representatives, outside bodies? No, thank you very much. Fantastic. Right, we are nearly there, peoples. So, Mayor's announcements, if I may, please. I'll do the ones first are. So, sorry. Where was it? Training for Glastonbury Mental Health Network. I think this came from a deep adaptation event we did in the town hall, and we raised £660. That is now going to Glastonbury Mental Health Network, who are using it to hold trainings for people in the high street. They've already had one trainings where they bring in people. These can be shop owners, these can be people that work in the high street and who are connected with everyday community. So to train them up, we have also been offered if we would like training. So I think my very, very first meeting here, I asked, we passed a motion that we all get training, and that was mainly for kind of equalities, but actually what I was aiming at was mental health. And this gives us a kind of broad stroke spectrum. So if people would, we'll be getting dates. I think it's in, the next one is February, or we can get one specially for us. If that's one. My other one, the Mayor's
Point of order,
Kaylee.
Your Worship.
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
a trustee of the Glastonbury Mental Health Network.
Fabulous. Well, thank you very much. Go us. The other one's the Mayor's Kaylee, raised £600, and that is to go towards women and girls self-defence classes in Glastonbury. What else have I got? Oh yes, now, please, councillors, I'd like to draw your attention to 2 dates, or 3 dates, but the first 2 are November. So it's Armistice on the 11th, and then Remembrance on the 12th. Now, normally this is kind of hits us midweek, so people do work. This is a weekend, and we are expected to be there, and the residents, the community likes to see us there. If we can make it, that would be fabulous. There'll be times going out soon. But yes, they're usually quite early, starting from here. Yes, Councillor Osborne.
I've already given my apologies. It clashes.
Thank you very much. For both days?
Well, not Saturday.
No, that's really fine. That's really fine. Yes, Councillor Henderson.
But do work on Saturdays.
Of course. Thank you for pointing that out.
You still got that job?
Thank
Oh,
you,
yeah.
Councillor Manning.
I'm away all weekend that weekend, so.
That's fine. It's not a, it's not a rank ruling, but those that can would be fabulous. The other day I have, please, is we have an adaptation day with the Wildlife Trust on the 19th of October. That's an evening. And what we're doing is trying to get as many people involved that are actually involved in the community in various projects or outlays that can actually input. There's a few seats, few places left. So this is with the Wildlife Somerset Wildlife Trust working together a climate adaptation plan. Yes, Councillor Cousins?
I've just noticed, and maybe I've missed an email, but I've got the crime reduction meeting is on that night, the 19th, but earlier on I was told it was on the 12th. Could I have clarity of which night it actually is happening?
It is the 19th now, isn't it?
Oh, I've got it down as the 12th in my diary. Well, I just will have to excuse myself for that one. Yes.
Climate adaptation.
Manning's the chair.
Time and place.
Thank you. It's here, 6 o'clock.
What, in this room?
Sorry,
Downstairs?
downstairs, in the small hall.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll make sure you get a link to
Thank you very
a
much.
ticket. Thank you very much, Councillor Henderson.
That's on the 19th, yeah?
That is on the 19th? Yes. So they want to, basically all towns around Somerset will eventually have their adaptation plan, because there's no point us doing it in isolation. And they will put them all together, so we will have one for Somerset. Thank you very much, people. Right, correspondence, communications and announcements. Yes.
Just one very quick one, if I may. I'd like for us to thank Wessex Water for putting their round the bend tours on.
Wonderful.
They were wonderful.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant.
Several councillors went, and it was the most inspiring and informative day.
Lovely. I'd love to talk to you about
Thank you.
to cancel mine. Thank you very much. Any more correspondence announcements? Bloom? Is Bloom an announcement? Ought to be. Ought to be. So,
Item for news release.
yeah, and is it an item for news release? Is that what we're...
I don't know whether, Your Worship, you wish to ask the Chair, Councillor Oakden, to speak to the town successors.
I would very much like to talk to. No, that's great. It's worth it.
What can I say? We just sweat If anybody was at the meeting, if anybody was at the celebrations, then just to see the joy and just pure pleasure on people's faces as they went up to get their award was absolutely amazing. And we had a blast, didn't we? We really did. And it was just something that we have to build on now. There's more cups to win. We're going for the Champion of Champions next year.
Wow.
And I'm pretty certain we'll probably get it because we've got so much enthusiasm in the town. But yes.
Do you want to mention about what happened in Truro and why
yes,
we're brilliant?
What happened in Truro? We had two incidents in Truro, really. We went to the mayor. We were both invited to the mayor's soiree, which was quite interesting. We met a lot of other mayors there. And one of the judges actually said to me, with a broad wink, "You'll have a good night tomorrow." Well, we did have a good night because Truro Cathedral resounded with the word Glastonbury, Glastonbury, Glastonbury over and over again as we made our way up to get the awards. 17 golds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Three silver cups. And also there was mentions in the town as well about the people who didn't quite make the award, but people who had nearly got there, and that was one of the disabled. There was so much good things about Glastonbury. We were embarrassed. We couldn't get enough. How many 3 bags we had?
We did.
Of awardees when we staggered to the car, and everybody was sick and tired of the word Glastonbury, but we went. We had a great time, and thanks for all the people who helped. And do come to our meetings. We do have a bit of a nice meeting for Glastonbury and Bloom. And for people who don't think it's worth it, well, just look at the town. Just
it
look
was
at
wonderful.
the town. I mean, it has been fabulous this year. Everybody has been astounded by the sheer exuberance of all the plants around the town and the people. So
Fabulous.
That's really all I need to say.
Oh, no, thank you. I would just like to say, being there, we took the most cups and the most awards out of any town in the southwest. Not that that's what it's about, but we did. Thank you.
And whoever did the decorations and the decorations for the tables, and they were spectacular. I was so impressed.
When I do a job, I do it right, Serena. We intended it to be spectacular.
Absolutely gorgeous.
We had more people at that celebration than we've ever had.
It was brilliant, really
Thank
brilliant.
you so much.
Congratulations, well
Let's
done.
do more.
Thank you. Final one from,
May I just add to what Councillor Oakton has said?
absolutely.
Just so that everyone is clear exactly what we did win. We won the Priest Cup, which is for our category. So we won our category. We got a gold medal as well. We won the Abbess Cup for the best horticultural display on a municipal building for the town hall.
Hey.
Snatched that back from Bath because they snatched it from us the year previous. We won the Sergeant Trophy for outstanding effort and contribution from a main competition entry. We were also runners-up for the Michael McGahey Trophy for best community effort, the Southwest Tourism Salver, which is for the best portfolio, which I'm going to win next year. I am.
Yes, you are.
The Amberol Trophy for best floral business display and representing Glastonbury. These are at the discretion of the judges. Was Glastonbury Galleries for all of Ruth's work down that corridor. We were runners-up for the D. James Trophy, which is best interpretation of art in the landscape, and I believe that was St Benedict School. The Volunteer Network won the gardening for the disabled category across the entirety of the Southwest.
Amazing.
Over 10 businesses entered and won awards from silver, gilt to gold. More than 10 It's Your Neighbourhood entrants won levels 3 to 5, advancing, thriving or outstanding. And it was great that our 2 local judges got to reward the hard work of so many local growers and gardeners with our own local competition. So it was a little bit embarrassing at Truro. We nearly wore out the floor. But it was a fantastic evening on Friday, and it was Irena, who is quite often in the information centre, who very kindly donated her labour, all the town council had to purchase for those spectacular displays, one of which is still down in the foyer now, was the pumpkins. So it really is a fantastic community effort, Glastonbury in Bloom, and it did so well under the guidance of the committee this year.
Excellent, fantastic. Thank you. Final word by John.
Well, Councillor, Your Worship, should we not note and minute a formal vote of thanks to Councillor Oakton as chair of the committee for In Bloom, and her committee and the team and the volunteers who did Glastonbury so proud.
Fabulous. Noted. Hear, hear. Let's do that. Duly minuted. Brilliant. Thank you very, very much, councillors. That was quite a long, hang on, sorry, minutes rising. No, we don't. Right, next meeting at Tuesday the 14th. Fabulous. So lovely to see you. This is the end of the meeting. Thank you so much. We got a lot of work done today. Thank you for bearing with me. Oh my gosh, and thank you. And sorry, I was a little bit, well. You brought me a debrief is needed. No.